Hello, everyone, and Happy New Year. We are live on Joshua TV and on YouTube today. Happy New Year, and thank you so much, Who Flung. You don't have to do that. I really appreciate it. God bless you, brother. There we go. All right, so there we go. I want to make sure you can see me well. I have quite a few headlines to go over. Good morning, Hu Fong and Ernest. Abigail. Getting a trying to get rid of the Good morning, Shannon. Hello, JC. Hello, hello, Kim. And hello, Ernest. I know I have an echo. Hi, Jennifer. Hold on, guys. Got to get rid of that echo. Okay, hopefully I got rid of the echo, guys. I've got quite a bit of information. Everything again is in the Wixit site. So, and there should be a link to that in the description box. There's also a link to a video I've made. I hope everyone will check it out on Brighton. Yay, I know. Thank God. I can't deal with the echoes. Good morning, Alexis. How are you? Hello, Drain. How are you, darling? Good to see you this morning. So glad to see everybody. We're going to get right into it because there's really so much information about what's going on in the Middle East. I have several articles that and they're all pretty much different, that cover different things that are going on over there this morning. First, we're going to start with one that comes out from Reuters that says Trump says he does not want war nor foresee war with Iran. Palm Beach, Florida, and of course this goes kind of against what he tweeted whenever he said it wasn't that it was a threat. So go figure. U.S. President Donald Trump said on Tuesday he does not want or foresee war with Iran after he early threatened to retaliate against the country following a violent protest led by Iranian-backed militias at the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad. Asked about the possibility of tensions spiraling into a war with Iran, Trump told reporters at his Mar-a-Lago club in Florida, do I want to? No. I want to have peace. I like peace, and Iran should want to have peace more than anybody, so I don't see that happening. But, again, that did not go with the narrative that he shot out with that text message. Oh, goodness sakes. But then we have this... and he might be saying that, but the signals are not saying that. Actions speak louder than words. And we have the an article from the Daily Mail that says the Pentagon prepares 4,000 paratroops for rapid deployment to Kuwait after Donald Trump said Iran will pay a very big price for the attack on the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad. The U.S. Army 82nd Airborne Division Alert Brigade has been issued orders to deploy rapidly to Kuwait following the attack on American embassy in Baghdad by a pro-Iranian mob. At least 750 paratroopers are already making their way to the Middle East. Secretary of Defense Mark Esper confirmed in a statement on Tuesday, saying additional forces are prepared to deploy over the next several days. This deployment is an appropriate and precautionary action taken in response to the increased threat levels against U.S. personnel and facilities, such as we witnessed in Baghdad today, said Esper. A total of 4,000 soldiers from the 82nd Airborne Deployment Ready Brigade have been put on notice for imminent deployment in the next 96 hours, 3 U.S. defense officials told Fox News. The snap deployment comes amid rapidly rising tensions between Iran and the U.S. and the series of violent tit-for-tat escalations between the two countries. On Tuesday, some 6,000 pro-Iran Shiite militia fighters stormed the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad, set walls ablaze, and chanted "Death to America" in a violent retaliation for American airstrikes. There were no reports of American casualties, and the attack was repelled after 100 Marines rapidly reinforced the compound. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo called the attack an act of state-sponsored terrorism in an interview with CBS News, and President Donald Trump vowed that the Iranian government will be held fully responsible for the attack. Pompeo said in his statement that the attack was orchestrated by terrorists and abetted by Iranian proxies, tweeting pictures that he said showed the U.S. designated terrorist with Iranian ties outside of the embassy. Several thousand protesters and militia fighters broke down the gate of the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad, storming the compound as gunshots and sirens rang out following Sunday U.S. airstrike on Hezbollah that killed 2. And I'm going to try and show you this picture. It's a pretty big picture, but again, this article is in the Wixit site, guys. Hopefully you can see that. Kind of crazy. Crazy stuff there. We have let's see. The U.S. Embassy in Iraq is and has been for hours safe. Many of our great warfighters, together with the most lethal military equipment in the world, was immediately rushed to the site. Thank you to the President and Prime Minister of Iraq for the rapid response upon request. Trump tweeted Tuesday evening, Iran will be held fully responsible for lives lost or damage incurred at any of our facilities. They will pay a very big price. This is not a warning. It is a threat. Happy New Year, he added. In a third tweet, he quipped the anti-Benghazi. The post was an effort to distinguish his administration's response to that of the Obama administration in the 2012 attack on the diplomatic compound in Libya that left 4 Americans dead. The tweet, which had a spelling error, was deleted soon after. In the Tuesday attack, why are they going to point out a spelling error? My goodness sakes. People, give me a break. In the Tuesday attack, militia members with the Shiites, pro-Iranian Popular Mobilization Forces, swarmed the high-security compound, breaking down the main door to the compound and setting a fire in the reception area, forcing U.S. soldiers inside the embassy to fire tear gas, stun grenades, and warning shots. In the chaos, 62 of the thousands of fighters were injured, according to the PMF. Ambassador to Iraq Matthew Tuller was on leave at the time of the attack, and embassy staff had already been evacuated before the U.S. Marine Guard became besieged behind the bulletproof glass and on the rooftops. There were no reports of U.S. casualties during the embassy incursion. The attack on the embassy was in retaliation of the U.S. airstrikes on the Iran-backed Kataib Hezbollah on Sunday night, which killed 24 fighters. Those strikes were in retaliation for the last week's killing of an American contractor at a U.S. base in Kirk. There's the little, let's see if I can There is a video on this Daily Mail, but you can actually see the rockets and the helicopter dropping, which is pretty cool. But anyway, so it says on Tuesday, U.S. Defense Secretary Mark Esper said that the U.S. was sending additional forces to Baghdad embassy while calling on Iraq to help protect American personnel, hours after Trump slammed the attack and warned that Iran will be held fully responsible. Video footage from the scene shows the U.S. military sending in Marines from Kuwait and 2 Army Aviation UH-60M utility helicopters and 2 CH-47 Chinook helicopters, which were then used to evacuate embassy personnel. Another clip shows a U.S. Apache helicopter dropping warning flares above the embassy. We have taken appropriate force protection actions to ensure the safety of American citizens, military personnel, and diplomats in the country, and to ensure our right of self-defense, Esper said in a statement. As in all countries, we rely on the host nation forces to assist in the protection of our personnel and country, and we will call on the government of Iraq to fulfill its international responsibilities to do so. He added, an AH-64E Guardian attack helicopter was also seen flying over the embassy, ready to open fire in case any Kataib Hezbollah members attacked the incoming Marines. It just takes a second to get through the pictures, guys. Sorry. There's quite a few pictures, so the deployed Marines are reportedly from Special Purpose Marine Air Ground Task Force Crisis Response Central Command, a group force deployed to the Middle East that specializes in the crisis response, U.S. officials confirmed to military.com. That force was created after the 2012 attack on the diplomatic post in Benghazi, Libya, that killed 4 Americans. On Tuesday morning, Trump condemned the attack on the U.S. Embassy and pointed the blame to Iran. Iran killed an American contractor, wounding many. We strongly responded and always will, Trump tweeted on Tuesday morning. Now Iran is orchestrating an attack on the U.S. Embassy in Iraq. They will be held fully responsible. In addition, we expect Iraq to use its forces to protect the embassy, and so notified. To those many millions of people in Iraq who want freedom and who don't want to be dominated and controlled by Iran, this is your time, the president added. The attack on Tuesday unfolded after thousands attended the funerals of the Iran-backed Kataib Hezbollah fighters killed in the American airstrikes on Sunday. After the processions, mourners and protesters rushed through the heavily fortified Green Zone without being stopped by Iraqi military as they burned U.S. flags and changed death to America on their way to the consulate. There were roughly 6,000 protesters at the height of the demonstrations, as U.S. officials estimated, most hailing from Kataib Hezbollah, also known as Hash al-Shabi. These pictures just are overwhelming, guys. U.S. fighter jets bombarded 3 locations in Iraq on Sunday night in retaliation for last week's 36 rocket attack, which killed an American contractor and injured several others at the base in Kirkuk, 170 miles north of Baghdad. On Sunday, the U.S. struck a total of 5 Kataib Hezbollah-controlled weapon depots in Iraq and Syria, killing at least 25 people and wounding 51. Baghdad had warned the American government that retaliations with the U.S. were at risk following the airstrikes. That was also concerned over whether Iraqi forces allowed protesters to reach the embassy located in an unusual restricted area. The U.S. attack, the largest targeting an Iraqi state-sanctioned militia in recent years, and calls for retaliation represent a new escalation in a proxy war between the U.S. and Iran playing out in Iraq. Kataib Hezbollah, which is separate but linked to the Lebanese Hezbollah, operates under the umbrella of the state-sanctioned, predominantly Shiite militias known collectively as the Popular Mobilization Forces. Many are supported by Iran. The U.S. says that Kataib Hezbollah is responsible for the 11 attacks on the U.S.-led coalition bases in the past 2 months. It was the first time in years that protesters have been able to reach the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad, the nation's largest embassy, which spans 104 acres. That's a humongous embassy, guys. 104 acres. The embassy, located in Baghdad's green zone, has been placed on lockdown. The U.S. Security guards were seen retreating inside the embassy earlier Tuesday as protesters hurled bottles and smashed security cameras outside the building. Flames rose from the compound as furious rioters pressed up against the bulletproof windows within the complex, taunting the U.S. soldiers within the spraying pro-Hezbollah graffiti over the glass. Half a dozen of U.S. Marine Guards fired warning shots from the rooftop, followed by tear gas and stun grenades at rioters who set ablaze and smashed up the barricades. Anyway, so that is... So we've got 4,000 troops possibly going. They're not saying possibly. 4,000 troops, according to Daily Mail, that paratroopers are being deployed to Kuwait, according to Daily Mail. This was the only article that I did see. There might be other ones out there, but that was the only one that I found that talked about deployments. Let's see. I have a list, guys. I'm trying to keep up with it. And we are going to go now to this article here is from RT, guys, and it says U.S. troops fire tear gas as protesters throw stones at the embassy at Baghdad. The tear gas has been used to disperse angry crowds outside the U.S. embassy in Baghdad, Iraq, a day after thousands of protesters attempted to storm the diplomatic compound, according to reports. Dozens of protesters who camped overnight outside the gates of the embassy were attacked with tear gas by security personnel, reportedly after the demonstrators drew closer to the building. Purported footage of Wednesday's clashes show protesters shouting and throwing objects towards the compound walls as thick smoke fills the air. Several bright flashes, like the tear gas canisters being fired, can also be seen. The crowd also reportedly set multiple U.S. flags on fire. Several protesters were wounded and were brought away in ambulance, according to the AFP. The skirmish comes a day after thousands of Iraqis marched on the compound to the protest against their U.S. airstrikes and targeted the several Hezbollah's positions. The demonstrations were able to pass through several checkpoints in high-security green zone, setting fires and destroying surveillance cameras. In response to the attack, U.S. Defense Secretary Mike Esper said that around 750 troops were already deployed to the region over the next several days. President Donald Trump has blamed Iran for the turmoil, which we already know this. And has warned Tehran that they would pay dearly if any U.S. personnel were injured or killed in the demonstrations. Iran pushed back at the accusation, noting that Washington had the audacity to blame the Islamic Republic for the protest in Iraq. So I will say that even if Iraq is even if Iran is behind the attacks in Iraq, it did still happen in Iraq, guys, and Iraq did not keep our embassy safe. So I think that there's a lot of people that need their heads put on a chopping block. Just saying. U.S. airstrikes hit 5 Kataib Hezbollah targets in Iraq and Syria last week in retaliation for an attack on a U.S. coalition base near Kirkuk. Washington blamed the attack on Iran-allied militia, but Tehran has denied any involvement, calling the subsequent of the U.S. strikes an act of terrorism. Well, you think? These people kill me. But we know that there's backup there, and the U.S. troops are fighting back, but they're just using tear gas at this point. So I guess, taking in consideration, they've not been ordered to retaliate with exchange of fire, I guess, as of this point in time. Okay. Then this here, I have an article from the English Alervia.net, and it says the Iraqi paramilitary groups tells supporters to withdraw from the U.S. embassy perimeter. The paramilitary groups who have been protesting against the U.S. airstrikes in Iraq told the supporters to withdraw from their perimeter of the U.S. embassies in Baghdad on Wednesday. So we have to wait a day for Iraq to stand up and tell them to, stop, I guess. The crowd did not actually begin withdrawing, according to Reuters witnesses. The Popular Mobilization Forces, the umbrella group, made the call in response to the Iraqi government's call for the protesters to disperse, it said in a statement. You delivered your message, the PMU said in a statement addressed to the crowds encircling the embassy since Tuesday in an outrage over the deadly American airstrikes on the pro-Iran PMU faction at the weekend. I called on supporters to regroup outside the high security green zone where the mission is located, but a leading commander in Kataib, Hezbollah, the group targeted in the U.S. raids, told the AFP they would remain at the embassy. So they're saying they're not going anywhere, guys. Now, I do want to read this from Times of Israel that we know that Trump gave out that warning, but according to the Times of Israel, Iran's Khamenei shrugs off Trump's threat to retaliate over the Iraq embassy violence. Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei on Wednesday said that the U.S. President Donald Trump was powerless to do anything to Iran, which will not hesitate to strike against anyone who threatens its interest. Khamenei scoffed at the remarks Trump made the previous day, in which the U.S. leader said he was holding Tehran responsible for a violent assault on the U.S. embassy in Iraq by pro-Iranian demonstrators who breached the outer wall of the Baghdad compound and burned property inside. That guy has tweeted that we see Iran responsible for the events in Baghdad, and we will respond to Iran, Khamenei wrote on his official Twitter account. First, you can't do anything, he wrote. Second, if you were logical, which you're not, you would see that your crimes in Iraq, Afghanistan have made nations hate you. If the Islamic Republic decides to challenge and fight, it will do so unequivocally, Khamenei continued. We're not after wars, but we strongly defend the Iranian nation's interests, dignity, and glory. If anyone threatens that, we will unhesitantly confront and strike them. The rioting at the Baghdad embassy, which continued Wednesday, was sparked by weekend U.S. airstrikes on the Iranian-backed militia located in Iraq that Washington said was responsible for the rocket attack that killed U.S. civilian contractor. The U.S. strikes killed 25 members of the Kataib Hezbollah group at a part of the state-sponsored Popular Mobilization Forces. There was a wide public outrage in Iraq at the strikes, which were seen as a violation of Iraqi sovereignty. Look at what the U.S. is doing in Iraq and Syria. They're taking a revenge on the Hashid al-Shabi, the PMF, for defeating ISIS, Khamenei wrote, referring to the PMF involvement in the fight against the Islamic State terror group. Since #Ashid crippled and destroyed the ISIS, which the U.S. had created, they're taking revenge, Khamenei wrote. The Iranian government and nation and I strongly condemn the U.S. malice. On Tuesday, Trump threatened Iran with strong action over the embassy clashes. Iran will be held fully responsible for the lives lost or damage incurred at any of our facilities, he said on Twitter. They will pay a very big price. That is not a warning. It is a threat, wrote Trump, adding Happy New Year. Later, he said he did not foresee war with Tehran over the embassy incident. I don't see what that happening, Trump said at the holiday retreat in Florida, when a reporter asked about the possibility of war with the Islamic Republic. I like peace. Earlier Tuesday, Defense Secretary Mark Esper said that there was around 750 troops from a rapid response unit at the 82nd Airborne Division were prepared to deploy over the next several days to the Middle East. The U.S. has already flown a rapid response team of Marines into Baghdad to reinforce its embassy after the attack, which left smoke and flames rising from the compound's entrance and further heightened tensions between Tehran and Washington. U.S. officials said there were no plans to evacuate the mission and no U.S. personnel were reported injured. And that is such awesome news, guys. Meanwhile, Tehran summoned an official from the Swiss embassy, which represents the U.S. interest in Iran, to complain about American warmongering in Iraq. The foreign ministry said on Wednesday the Swiss charged d'affaires was summoned to the foreign ministry over the stances of the American officials with regards to the developments in Iraq. A ministry statement said the Islamic Republic of Iran conveyed its strong protest over warmongering remarks made by the American officials, which are in a violation of the United Nations Charter. In its statement, the Iranian Foreign Ministry said it had asked that the Swiss charge d'affaires to inform the United States that Iraq is an independent country. The American army has martyred at least 25 young Iraqis and has wounded countless more without presenting the slightest evidence of them being at fault. It said naturally the people of Iraq react to the country that has occupied their country and kills their young people. And that is one of the articles, Times of Israel. But I also have a separate article about the Iran Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif in Brussels on January 11, 2018. But it says Iran does summon the Swiss envoy over the U.S. warmongering statements. It says Iran protested on Wednesday to the Swiss envoy representing the U.S. interest in Tehran over what it called warmongering statements by the American officials, Iran's foreign ministry said. The foreign ministry summoned the Swiss charge d'affaires and issued Iran's strongest protest against warmongering statements in the violation of the United Nations Charter by the U.S. officials. The ministry said on its website that the U.S. President Donald Trump said on Tuesday that Iran will be held accountable for lives lost in attacks on any U.S. facilities. And who would not be saying that? I mean, come on, give me a break. Anyway, so I don't know what they think that the Swiss are going to do or the UN is going to do, you know, but I guess maybe that's why President came out and said that he didn't want war, but go figure. You can't make a threat like that and not expect that people aren't going to think that we're going to go to war. And it just, you know, I don't blame him. Iran will be held fully responsible for the lives lost or damage incurred at any of our facilities. Thank God that no lives have been lost, though. So I would definitely say that we have confirmation that Iran has summoned the Swiss. I find it rather peculiar. Let's run and go tell Daddy, I guess you can say. In my opinion, that's how they're acting. You know, they go attack our embassy, but they don't want any kind of retaliation, which, you know, they should expect it. It goes without saying. But in other news from Times of Israel, I have an article that says France voices solidarity with the U.S. after the Baghdad embassy attack. Paris French Defense Minister Florence Parly condemns the attack on the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad by pro-Iranian demonstrators and expressed solidarity with France's coalition partner in a New Year's address to the French troops. France strongly condemns the attacks carried out against the positions of the international coalition in Iraq and today's attempted incursion into the U.S. Embassy compound in Baghdad. Parly tells the crew of the French frigate Corvette, that with whom she rang in the New Year. In the speech, the text of which was only made public today, she also expresses full solidarity with the U.S. So apparently, you know, we have the backing of France. They're saying that they are backing us, and that they have our solidarity. You know, which I would say that only makes sense given the circumstances. Let's see. Okay, let's see. We have 2 more articles that talk about this, guys. I want to. Zero Hedge has an article that says, watch the Apache gunships attempt to disperse Iraqi mob as Khatib Hezbollah flags erected over the embassy walls. The Marines have now landed, according to the open source analysis, which appears to show the first deployment of the some 100 Marines flown in Kuwait. The Pentagon officials have also confirmed they are now on the ground. Contradicting prior reports, U.S. personnel at the embassy have not evacuated but are safe inside. The U.S. personnel at the American embassy in Baghdad, which has come under attack by pro-Iranian protesters, are safe, and there are no plans to evacuate, the State Department said Tuesday. Our first priority is the safety and security of U.S. personnel, a State Department spokesperson said in the statement. U.S. personnel are secure, and there has been no breach, the spokesperson said. There are no plans to evacuate the embassy, Baghdad. U.S. Apache gunships are also said to be still encircling the area, attempting to intimidate the rioters on the ground, still encircling the embassy and attempting to set it on fire. Meanwhile, Senator Lindsey Graham has praised Trump for acting decisively and has defended the president, saying there will be no Benghazi on his watch. Regardless, none of this looks good for America's prospects in the Middle East moving into 2020. The dramatic footage over the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad has enraged protesters, continue to encircle the compound with U.S. Marines still inside and reportedly with more Marines on the way from nearby Kuwait. The Pentagon announced that a pair of AH-64 Apache helicopters would be used to attempt to disrupt and disperse the protests. The U.S. coalition in Iraq spokesman released video on a low-flying Apaches making aggressive maneuvers and releasing flares on the ground below. We have taken appropriate forces protection actions to ensure the safety of American citizens and to ensure our right of self-defense. We are sending additional forces to support our personnel at the embassy, Colonel Miles B. Kagan said in an official statement. This was hours after the Pentagon announced the U.S. will send additional troops to Baghdad, specifically to protect the U.S. embassy in Iraq. According to the statement, this is to include about 100 Marines since the nearby Kuwait. According to one defense official cited by Bloomberg, the Marines will likely fly to the embassy area in V-22 Ospreys. But the tactics don't appear to be working, given the mob has set the embassy compound walls on fire, including the main gate, and security passed through the reception area. Crucially, in a stunning image sure to send shockwaves through the U.S. administration, multiple Khatib Hezbollah flags have now been erected along the walls of the U.S. embassy. Likely, the Apaches will continue encircling the area through the night as things look to get worse before they get better. A view from among the protesters on the ground as the Apache swept overhead. All of this pretends to that the potential for even greater escalation and confrontation is in the air as Trump continues to call on Iranian proxies to leave Iraq. And there's a couple of videos. So if you guys, if you go to the Wixit site and you look up this article from Zero Hedge, there are a couple of videos that you can watch. And this here article from Daily Mail says that the siege at the U.S. Embassy pro-Iran militia storm Baghdad compound for a second day as Marines fire tear gas, and video reveals how bloodthirsty the Hezbollah fighters vowed to kill every American inside. And I don't understand. If they vowed to kill every American inside, why are they not, retaliating with more than just tear gas? I would not wait for them to shoot bullets or get inside to come at me. I'm sorry. Pro-Iran militia have stormed the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad for a second day. The U.S. Marines firing tear gas on the militias this morning following demands for American blood in retaliation for the airstrikes on Iraq. Yesterday, thousands of demonstrators, many of them Iran-backed militias, rushed through the heavily fortified Green Zone after the U.S. airstrikes killed 25 members of the Iran-backed Kataib Hezbollah in the airstrikes Sunday night. Our furious militians said, God willing, if this fire reaches inside the embassy, we will not spare a single employee. President Donald Trump reinforcements were engaged earlier Wednesday when tear gas was fired to disperse those who had spent the night outside the main gates. Several ambulances arrived to ferry those stricken by the gas. Yesterday's riots, which included smashing through the embassy's security area, setting fires around the complex, and hurling rocks, ended in a camp being set up outside the consulate. Some 50 tents, portable toilets, and cooking pots were shipped in as hundreds of the furious mob prepped a sit-in at the embassy gate, demanding that the U.S. withdraw from Iraq. This morning, the crowd drew closer to the single wall separating them and the large diplomatic compound, setting U.S. flags on fire and eventually the wall of the compound itself. In response, U.S. soldiers inside fired tear gas at the protesters, several of whom were reported wounded. A cordon of Iraqi security forces that have formed around the embassy dissipated when the gas was fired, but reinforcements from the federal police soon arrived and a brief skirmish calmed. Trump said Tuesday that he would hold Iran fully responsible for the attack on the embassy and ordered around 750 troops to be deployed to the Middle East, as about 3,000 more prepared for possible deployment in the next several days. No U.S. casualties or evacuations were reported after the attack Tuesday by dozens of Iran-supported militiamen. And here is, I'm going to stop here. There's a little more to this article, guys, but this is another article that says that nobody was evacuated. When yesterday I read, I don't know how many articles that talked about how they evacuated our soldiers, our troops. So I'm kind of, dumbfounded on the whole situation. When they give us one report and they say that, everyone made it out safe, except for the ones, I guess, that there was just a few in the lobby, and now they are retracting and they're saying, oh no, nobody's left, we're all still there. It makes no sense, guys. It truly does not. Stop and start it. Anyway, so I believe that is all of the articles that I have for updates on the situation that is ongoing in Iraq right now. But I do have more news to go over. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to start with this one here from Daily Mail that says Kim Jong-un warns that impudent U.S. they face shocking action unless Trump relaxes gangster-like sanctions. So now Trump is a gangster, guys. I chuckled when I read the headline. I couldn't believe that that's what they're saying. It was just too funny. Oh, mercy. Gangster Trump, guys. He's been called a lot of things, but gangster, I think that one's a new one. Oh, you are so welcome, JC. Kim Jong-un warns the impudent U.S. they face shocking action unless Trump relaxes gangster-like sanctions. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has accused the Trump administration of dragging its feet in a nuclear negotiations and warned that his country will soon show a new strategic weapon to the world as it bolsters its nuclear deterrent in the face of gangster-like U.S. sanction and pressure. I'm sorry, but just being called gangsta is just so funny for me. I'm sorry. The North State media said Wednesday that Kim made the comments during a 4-day ruling party conference held through Tuesday in the capital of Pyongyang, where he declared that the North will never give up its security for economic benefits in the face of what he has described as increasing U.S. hostility and nuclear threats. Kim's comments came after months-long a standoff between Washington and Pyongyang over disagreements involving the disarmament steps and the removal of sanctions imposed to the North. He said that he will never allow the impudent U.S. to abuse the DPRK-U.S. dialogue for meeting its sordid aim, but will shift to a shocking actual action to make it pay for the pain sustained by our people so far and for the development so far restrained, the Korean Central News Agency said, referring to the North by its formal name, the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Kim added that it is the U.S. persists its hostile policy toward the DPRK. They will never be the denuclearization on the Korean Peninsula, and the DPRK will steadily develop necessary and prerequisite strategic weapons for the security of the state until the U.S. rolls back its hostile policy, according to the agency. However, Kim showed no clear indication of abandoning negotiations with the United States entirely or restarting tests of nuclear bombs and intercontinental ballistic missiles he had suspended under a self-imposed moratorium in 2018. He did issue a warning that there would be no grounds for the North to get unilateral bound to the moratorium any longer, criticizing the United States for continuing its joint military exercise with rival South Korea and also providing the South with advanced weaponry. In the past 2 years alone, when DPRK took preemptive and crucial measures of halting its nuclear tests and ICBM test fire and shutting down the nuclear test ground for building confidence between the DPRK and the U.S., far from responding to the former with appropriate measures, conducted tens of big and small joint military drills, which its president personally promised to stop, and threatened the former military through the shipment of ultra-modern warfare equipment into South Korea. The KCNA quoted Kim as saying, "Some experts say North Korea, which has been sensitive about electoral changes in the U.S. government, will avoid engaging in serious negotiations for deals with Washington in coming months as it watches how Trump's impending impeachment trial over his dealings with Ukraine affects the U.S. president election in November." Kim and President Donald Trump have met 3 times since June 2018, but negotiations have faltered since the collapse of their second summit last February in Vietnam, where the Americans rejected North Korean demands for a broad sanctions relief in exchange for partial surrender of its nuclear capabilities. Kim's speech followed months of intensified testing activity and belligerent statements issued by various North Korean officials, raising concerns that he was reverting to confrontation and preparing to do something to proactive if Washington doesn't back down and relieve sanctions. The North announced in December that it would perform 2 crucial tests as long-range rocket launch site that would further strengthen its nuclear deterrent, prompting speculation that it was developing an ICBM or planning a satellite launch that would provide an opportunity to advance its missiles technologies. North Korea also last year ended the 17th-month pause in ballistic activity by testing a slew of solid fuel weapons and potentially expanded its capabilities to strike targets in South Korea and Japan, including the U.S. military bases there. It also threatened to lift a self-imposed moratorium on the testing of nuclear bombs and ICBMs. So Kim, the Rocket Man, is at it again, guys. Let's see here. Okay. So then we have numerous cars are torched during a New Year Eve mayhem in Strasbourg, France. This is from RT. Vandals in Strasbourg, France marked the start of 2020 by setting countless vehicles on fire. A video on social media purportedly shows shocking acts of arson that took place across the city. Police have not disclosed how many cars were torched, but a source told the AFP that the figure was larger than the previous year. A number of arrests and some minor injuries have also been reported. The footage circulated on social media appeared to show vehicles, many of them overturned and on fire in the streets of Strasbourg. One clip shows a car passing by a series of torched vehicles along the road, an eerie sight to behold on what is typically a joyous evening of champagne-fueled celebration. Riot police can be seen dodging between flame-engulfed cars as they attempt to restore order in the city. The burning of the vehicles is unfortunate New Year's tradition in some parts of France. According to local media, 1,031 vehicles were set alight nationwide on the night of December 31st, 2018, compared to 935 on the previous New Year's Eve. I guess they're trying to make it a ritual, guys. They continue to light these cars on fire every year, it seems like. So that might be the new thing in France. And this here comes from the Times of Israel. It says Netanyahu to make a statement at 8 p.m. as a deadline to request immunity. Oh, that was not the story I had. It changed on me, guys. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. Okay. I don't know what happened to the article, guys. Oh, here it is. Okay. This here comes from Times of Israel, and it says security tight as over 92,000 Jews are set to attend a religious event in a New Jersey stadium. East Rutherford, New Jersey, more than 92,000 Jews people will congregate today at the MetLife Stadium in New Jersey to celebrate the reading of the entire Talmud in an event called Sayam HaShas, and will draw a significant security presence after recent anti-Semitic attacks in the area. The New Year's Day event celebrates the completion of the reading of the 2,711-page Babylonian Talmud, a process that takes 7.5 years. The Talmud contains discussions of Jewish law that guide every aspect of life. Rabbi Yosef C. Golden, an organizer, tells the Record newspaper that he has worked with more than 50 law enforcement agencies on security for the event, and that more than 300 uniformed state police will be in the stadium. The event will be broadcasted internationally. The last event at this stadium in 2012 drew about 90,000 people, organizers to tell the Record. The New York City region has been rocked by recent attacks on Jews. On December 10th, 2 shooters targeted the kosher market in New Jersey City, killing 3 people. And last weekend, a man armed with a knife attacked 5 people at home of a rabbi in Monsey, New York. There also have been several street assaults in New York City in recent weeks. So I'm curious to see how that goes, given the recent attacks there in New York. So I'm not quite sure how that will go, but we will keep an eye out for anything to happen over there. Okay. I'm going to save that one for the end when I talk about the UN. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and cover this little tidbit I got here. Sputnik News says that they uncovered a 2004 U.S. intelligence memo that shows cryptic predictions of a world in 2020. The document authors made several spot-on predictions about the political situation in the United States and the world, the decline of the international organizations such as the United Nations, and in part predicted the emergence of Daesh. An uncovered 2004 memo by the U.S. National Intelligence Council titled Mapping the Global Future showed some cryptic predictions of what today's world would look like. The authors of the document noted that the international order was in the midst of a profound change, with the United States facing new challenges. At no time since the formation of the Western Alliance system in 1949 have the shape of the nature of the international alignments been such a state of flux. A memo states, although the memo's authors made several incorrect forecasts, like the establishment of Palestine state, Russia's internal problems limiting the extent to which the contrary can become a global power, a clash between China and the United States over Taiwan, which Beijing considers a breakaway province that would eventually become part of the country. At some point, several predictions were so accurate that it would make your hair stand on edge when reading them. The forecast tells us about a worsening of the U.S. ties with Europe and says the European states would prefer the EU over NATO. In recent years, historical allies have distanced themselves from Washington due to disagreements on trade and other key areas of cooperation. At the same time, the authors stressed that it would be more challenging for the United States to deal with Europe alliance with Asia, for example, an EU-China alliance. Though still unlikely, is no longer unthinkable, said the memo. The ideal of America first. The forecast details a fictitious scenario about a fictitious United Nations Secretary General writing in her diary that Americans are getting tired of the country playing the world policeman, shouldering the burden of its allies. The official note that she is struggling to keep the UN headquarters in New York because, among other things, America Firster groups, I didn't know that firster was a word, but I guess firster is a word, guys. America Firster groups are calling for the UN's removal. The ideal of U.S. exceptionalism is not new and has been actively promoted by various Republican presidents throughout the country's history. Although the author of the document didn't envision the war of tariffs that is going on now between Beijing and Washington, they were right in the assessment of the ties, or rather tensions, between the two countries. Rising nationalism in China and the fears of the U.S. and China as an emerging strategic competitor could fuel an increasingly agnostic relation with the memo. The memo predicted that Washington global influence would diminish as other power emerges, although the document notes that the United States would remain the most important single country across the diminishes of power. Expert says Washington has been losing its clout as China and Russia compete in numerous spheres. Ironically, back in 2004, this scenario was considered radical. I don't think it's so radical. Experts hit the mark with North Korea predicting that crisis over the pariah state is likely to come to a head sometime over the next 15 years. The memo also predicted that Pyongyang and Iran would develop intercontinental ballistic missiles well before 2020 and said that the scenario would increase the potential cost of any military action by the U.S. against them or their allies. Although the report's author did not foresee the emergencies of Daesh terrorist organization, they hit that now right on the head when they wrote about the spread of radical Islam and the fictitious scenario about the creation of the caliphate scenario was seen as radical. The spread of radical Islam will have a significant global impact, leading to 2020, rallying disparate ethnic and national groups, and perhaps even creating authority that transcends national boundaries. The collective feeling of alienation and estrangement which radical Islam draws upon are unlikely to dissipate until Muslim world again appears to be more fully integrated into the world economy. And Daesh, in case you all do not remember, is ISIS or ISIL or the Islamic State. however you want to cover it. They keep changing the name. I don't know why they continue to do that. As if we're going to, you know, I guess they're hoping that we'll forget. They figure if they change the name, it might change the optics, I guess. I don't know. Who knows what they think anymore. 1,000 stranded on beach encircled by flames as bushfires blaze through Australia. So apparently we still have bushfires going on in Australia, and it doesn't seem like it's getting any better. Hello, Cody. How are you, honey? Hello, Karen. I believe everybody wants the UN gone, guys. We're going to talk about the UN here in just a minute. As a benefit, as they are likely inventions of the Flavian Romans and the Jewish turncoat Joseph's. Yep. Warrior Witness 99. Yes, he did. Bio Michael. Hello. I see a couple of new names in here. Hi, guys. Welcome. Anyway, we will continue with this article from Zero Hedge. I believe the fires were started on purpose as well, Karen. I truly do. Just like the fires in California. Thousands of tourists and locals were left stranded on a beach in southeast Australia on Tuesday as bushfires ravaged a popular tourist area, leaving no escape by land. The Epic Times, Cadwell Roberts reports up to 4,000 people are trapped on a foreshore of the encircled seaside town of Malkuta in the East Gippsland region of Victoria, where authorities said nearby fires were manifesting extreme self-generating thunderstorms and ember attacks. On Monday, Victoria's Emergency Management Commission, Andrew Christ, told residents and holidaymakers to leave the area by 9 a.m. or risk being stranded. However, in a later update, he said it was now too late to get out for the area for safety. Firefighters were deployed to protect those stranded on the beach, and preparations are underway for a sea or airborne evacuation if needed. We've got 3 strikes teams in Malkata that will be looking for about 4,000 people down on the beach. We're naturally very concerned about the communities that have become isolated, he added. Hundreds of people have taken to social media to share the apocalyptic images of the area, which is currently blanketed in a thick cloud of red haze. I'll show you this picture. It comes after authorities warned up to 30,000 tourists currently visiting the area to leave as strong winds push an emergency level bushfire towards the town. The fire moving towards Malkata began at Wingane River on Sunday and spread rapidly towards the coast, RNZ reported. And this does look apocalyptic if I ever saw one, guys. Look at that picture there. It's just crazy. Meanwhile, in a press conference on Tuesday, Premier Daniel Andrews said that 4 people are currently missing in Victoria. There are a number of people who remain unaccounted for, 4 people, and of course we have fears for their safety. Andrews said, we cannot confirm their whereabouts, but as soon as we can, we'll bring any further information to you. Then of course we will do that. Andrews also asked Prime Minister Scott Morrison for military assistance amid the raging fires, suggested naval vessels help get supplies to isolated communities or heavy lift aircraft to work alongside the state's air fleet. However, no decisions regarding the military assistance have been finalized as of yet. On Monday, around 100,000 people were urged to flee 5 Melbourne suburbs. The swirling bushfires killed a volunteer firefighter who was battling a separate blaze on the countryside. Another volunteer firefighter from the New South Wales Rural Fire Service also died on Monday when the truck he was traveling in was overturned by strong winds and crashed at the Genelec about 110 kilometers. Authorities named him as a 28-year-old Samuel McPaul, who was reportedly expecting his first child in May with his wife Megan, whom he married last year. That is so sad, guys. Prayers to his wife and soon to be family. Two of his male colleagues, aged 39 and 52, also suffered burns in the incident, but are said to be in stable condition. Another 8 people have been killed so far this fire season, with more than 1,000 homes that have been destroyed, according to local reports. And I've got just a couple more pictures I'm going to show you guys. It's just really, really, really sad. These pictures just look so wicked, though. I'm just telling you how red and orange the sky is. That's a video. And definitely continue to I did get a breaking report, guys. I want to go and check it out real quick. It just came in. It says, according to The Hill, it says Iranian-backed militias began to withdraw from the U.S. Embassy in a Baghdad report. It says protesters at the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad are withdrawing and declaring victory after the campaign outside the compound all night, the Washington Post reported Wednesday. The protesters who support the Iranian-backed militia group Kataib Hezbollah are now calling for the nation's parliament to push for the U.S. troops to leave Iraq, according to the Post. The retreat follows a chaotic protest Tuesday where demonstrators stormed the embassy in response to the U.S. weekend airstrikes in Iraq targeting the militia group and killing 25 people. The Popular Mobilization Forces, the umbrella organization, I don't want to go into reread all this stuff, but according to this article, and I'll show you the headlines here, it's saying that they're withdrawing, which that's good news. So you can see, I will update. This article is not in my Wixit, guys, but it will be at the end of the show. So you can find this article in there, but it's not there right yet. So, but I will get it there. But that just came in and I saw it and I wanted to share it with you guys. Okay, so there is also an article from the Daily Mail that tells of a horrible event that happened in Omaha on New Year's Eve night. It says 3 people, including a police officer, are shot in Omaha on New Year's Eve. It says on Tuesday evening, Douglas County officials confirmed to KETV that a police officer was shot in the leg. The officer is understood to be in a serious condition following the shooting. The incident happened at around 10:20 p.m. A large number of police cars and ambulance were at the scene near the 24th and Evans Street. The identities of the other 2 victims and their conditions is not yet known at this point. 4 to 5 police cars were at the scene of the building on Tuesday night. The incident comes just after a few days after a man died after he was shot outside his home near 30th Street and Stony Avenue on Friday night. The victim was named on Saturday morning as 23-year-old Jonathan Banks from Omaha. A 10-year-old boy was also injured by glass during the incident. Several of Banks' family members were inside the house at the time of the shooting, Omaha police said. A motive for the incident is not yet known at this point. Crime Stoppers is offering an enhanced reward of $25,000 for tips leading to the arrest of a suspect. So apparently there was a shooting incident in Omaha, Nebraska. I'm assuming it's Omaha, Nebraska. That's the only Omaha I know. But there might be another Omaha. It just says Omaha, guys. It doesn't give me a state. But I'm going to assume Omaha, Nebraska. On New Year's Eve, 2 people plus a police officer was shot, and they just say that they're in, critical condition. I believe the officer was. And then we have a Texas sheriff, according to Fox News, guys, a Texas sheriff deputy, an Army vet, fatally shot during a traffic stop, suspect arrested. A Texas sheriff deputy died in a hospital Tuesday after being shot multiple times during a traffic stop, authorities said. Deputy Chris Derrickson, 28, a veteran of the U.S. Army and Texas Army National Guard, had been with the Panola County Sheriff's Office for 8 years and was named married father of 2 young children, the Associated Press reported. This young man, which gave his life doing what he was put to do on this earth, Sheriff Kevin Lake told the Panola Watchman. Our hearts are hurting, the sheriff's office added in a statement according to KLTV of Tyler, Texas, and we ask that the community to keep all our deputies and family of our fallen comrade in your thoughts and prayers. Panola County is in East Texas along the Louisiana border. It's such a small county, and we've been through it several times, and it seems so peaceful. It's like a now I don't think that there's like a suburbs. I don't even know how many people live in that little area. I do know they have a Dr. Pepper plant there, though. I'm a Dr. Pepper drinker. I know that much, guys. But it just, it's sad that something can happen in such a small community. But it says the driver who allegedly killed the deputy was captured later in Louisiana when he remained in jail earlier Wednesday awaiting extradition to Texas. The suspect was identified as Gregory Newsom, 47, of Shreveport, Louisiana. Authorities say he fired upon Dickerson using a semi-automatic rifle. He will face a charge of capital murder, authorities said. He should. The circumstances leading to the shooting were unclear. The deputy managed to fire back at the suspect, striking him at least 3 times in the leg, the AP reported. The confrontation happened near Gary City, Texas. Authorities said they were alerted to the scene when a civilian got on Dickerson's radio and told authorities the deputy was lying shot on the side of the road. Later, a citizen who heard about the crime called 911 after spotting a suspect's vehicle heading towards Shreveport. Newsom was tracked down sooner after following a high-speed chase, according to the AP. Dickerson was among 3 deputies who were honored for heroism in 2018 after they rescued a woman from a burning home. While serving on the Army, Dickerson was an avionic technician who tested Army aircraft to ensure they were safe for use, KYTX reported. Texas Governor Greg Abbott also released a statement in reaction to Dickerson's death. My thoughts and prayers are with the family and the deputy killed in line of duty and with the Panola County Sheriff's Office as they deal with the aftermath of this unimaginable tragedy, Abbott said. We must never forget the solemn oath our law enforcement officers take to protect and keep our communities safe. We must also ensure that the perpetrator faces swift justice. I ask that Texans join Cecilia and me in remembering the sacrifice and the service of this brave sheriff deputy. And such a sad tragedy, on New Year's to happen. It's horrible to hear that. And I'm glad that he got caught, though. And he will be extradited back. That is sad. Texas will go pick him up, that's for sure. Rest assured, he will not escape the long arm of Texas. Judge in the Hunter Biden paternity case mysteriously recuses hours after new allegations filed. Zero hedge. Imagine this. Hunter Biden, he's been trying to hide all his finances so that he doesn't have to pay an outlandish amount for child support. But, hey, if you want to play, you should, if you get somebody in trouble, you should take up your responsibility. Just saying. It takes 2 to tango. It's not just on the mother these days. Mike Morales shows the balls. The self-ignite these fires. The elites want dead and gone for the need. Yep, they do. New Zealand mosque shooter looks like the same guy at the White Settlement Church shooting. I'm not sure. I haven't seen the picture. I'll have to look at it. You're getting heavy buffering. I'm not buffering over here. Maybe you might need to refresh. I've got it on a different device just to keep up with everything. A judge in Hunter Biden paternity case mysteriously recuses hours after new allegations filed. The judge in the Hunter Biden's paternity case suddenly recused himself from the case on Tuesday, filing a string of third-party court filings accusing Biden of financial crimes. The undersigned judge recuses from said case pursuant to the administration plan of the 16th Judicial Court, reads a brief note of Independence County Judge Don McSpadden, who offered no explanation for the move. The recusal comes 2 hours after the defrauded investor Joe Kaplan filed to become a party in the case, which involved a witness statement from the ex-Ukraine prosecutor Viktor Shokin, who says he was fired for investigating a Ukraine gas company which Biden worked for. That said, Kaplan's claims are so bizarre that if one had enough tinfoil, they might conclude that the recent string of filings in this case are being done to muddy the waters with absurdity. The latest claim is that Biden was involved in a multi-billion-dollar stock scheme known as the China Hustle. Shokin's witness statement was submitted to the court as part of Joe Kaplan's motion this week to try and become a party in Robert's paternity case with Biden. He claimed in Monday filing that he wanted in on the case so he could get his hands on Biden's bank account records in order to prove he allegedly received $1.5 billion from Chinese company that hustled Americans out of their life savings. Kaplan told Judge Don McSpadden to follow the money, and in a 30-page filing lays out how he was allegedly swindled out of 10 years of his life savings in a multi-billion-dollar stock scheme known as China Hustle. Kaplan, who filed papers from Jerusalem, Israel, claims many Chinese nationals made fortunes from the ploy, which involved presenting fake company documents and claiming they were genuine investments when they were actual frauds, the Daily Mail. Kaplan referenced President Trump's October claim that Biden received $1.5 billion payout from Chinese privately equity fund, a claim Biden has denied. Kaplan has brought bank records in an attempt to regain his lost savings and for justice. Last week, private investigator Dominic Casey, who also attempted to enter the case, claiming Biden was involved in a $150 million counterfeiting scheme. Hours after it was filed, Judge Casey tossed the motion to a technicality for being improperly fired. On Friday, okay, that was a picture. Casey's heads up a DNA investigations, which is based near Orlando, Florida, and he is now for pursuing right-wing conspiracy theories during the Casey Anthony trial. He claimed a psychic told him where to find Kaylee's body. Casey claimed Biden was involved in the counterfeiting scheme in Ukraine that accumulated $150 million fortune. Judge Don McSpadden tossed out Casey's original motion 6 hours after it was filed. In Casey's Friday motion, he gives consent for Robert's legal team to use Biden's bank account records in their court case, claiming that he has seen them. Biden's lawyer, Brett Langdon, called Casey's filing a scheme by a non-party simply to make scandalous allegations in the pending suit to gain some quick media attention. Why is the judge recusing himself? I don't know. Sounds like somebody might get in trouble here. I don't know. Anyway, we'll have to keep an eye on that story. A child-sized weapon is found in Oregon, were used for teaching, anthropologists say. Spear throwing is an acquired skill, and the Pee-wee Atlas found in the prehistoric North American site of Par-T would have fit the hands of children very nicely. And I'm going to show you this picture. I think it's pretty cool, guys. I hope you can see it. And this article here is from Haaretz. It says the discovery of the child-sized weapons at a coastal site in Oregon occupied from about 1900 years ago begs the question of what purpose these Atlas spearing slinging implements could have served. It seems the Pee-wee implements from at Par-T were used by children to learn how to hunt properly, suggested Robert J. Lossy and Emily Hull of the University of Alberta in December, issues the Antiquity, a journal published by the Cambridge University Press. Basically, they scale down their atlas so that they are more easily usable by small hands. This helped children master the use of the weapons, Lossy posts. Finding evidence of children in archaeological sites is a rare. Archaeologists tend to look for palaces and temples, not humdrum homesteads of the holy poly, notes archaeologist Rona Avasser Lewis. Another reason is relative fragility of the young bones. The author of the recently published Hebrew book Children in Antiquity points out. A third obstacle, says Lucy, is the archaeologists don't necessarily look for evidence of children. Then sometimes an ordinary investigation comes up with an extraordinary find, such as a child-sized version of a deadly weaponry at Parti. Child's plays. Nowadays, investment in the kids of the norm. We're supposed to feed, nurture, and school them, not ignore them or exploit their labor. But before the age of modern medicine, child mortality was extremely high, around 70% in the ancient Levant, and prevalent assumption has been that parents protected themselves from grief by keeping young children at an emotional distance, withholding investment until deciding the offspring was likely to survive. That's crazy. It says actually investment in kids and apparently the human default, and where archaeological evidence is available, it seems that the children generally had toys and were taught essential skills, according to Avasser Lewis. The child-size atlas found in the Parti could have been a like laddered toy stoves and plastic submachine guns. In other words, made for play. It is more likely that they were learning tools, though used to practice how to spear dinner from a distance. I don't think you could have speared dinner from a distance with any of those tools, but hey, just saying. I would say they are teaching learning implements, definitely, Losi says. In that particular society, knowing how to use them really well would have been critical. Surely they've been started learning to use them quite young. There's a little bit more to this article. If you're interested in this article is in the Wexit, but I just thought it was you know, an interesting find. Archaeology, you know, I just think it's pretty cool. I hope y'all can see those. They really are real small. But I don't know what you would kill with it, but I'm sure they were probably sharp at one point in time. I'm not going to read this article because it's more of an op-ed, but there is an article that says woke on steroids, Brexit breakthrough, and Iran on the brink of war, 2020 predictions from the RT contributors. This is in the Wixit, if you're interested, guys, in reading that. But I do have this article. We're going to start with this one from Al Jazeera that talks about the UN government forces declare Car capital district weapons free. And the reason why I'm bringing this one up, notably, because of all the talk about what's going on in Washington, and not Washington, but in Virginia with this gun confiscation bills and things of that nature. So Al Jazeera has this article that says UN government forces and declares Car capital district weapons free. The United Nations and government forces in the Central African Republic in Car have declared a flashpoint district in the capital of Bangui, where recent clashes claimed dozens of lives, as a weapon-free zone. More than 30 people were killed last week, according to the Red Cross, a local imam, Awad al-Karim, as fighting erupted in many Muslim PK5 neighborhoods between local fighters and traders angered by extortion. By now, the UN has stepped in, calling on both sides to disarm. Anyone seen with arms will be arrested, disarmed, and neutralized if he or she resists. Brigadier General Frank Shatoulis, the head of the UN forces in Car, known as MINUSCA, and it's spelled MINUSCA, announced on Tuesday. The population shouldn't take law into their hands. It's the responsibility of MINUSCA and local forces. We will also occupy and control bases of self-defense groups. The Carr government will deploy patrols by domestic security forces, the FSI, police and gendarmes. A police commissioner will be sent to a PK5, a MINUSCA spokesman told the AFP news agency. The ball is in the camp of the armed groups, he said. We are waiting for their members to come along with their weapons and lay them down. Al Jazeera, amid Adiris reporting from Benghazi, said the declaration of the PK5 neighborhood as a weapons-free zone came just hours before a deadline to surrender all arms expired. Traders had told gunmen they were formerly relied on the protection to give up their weapons or face an all-out war, he said. And a shoot-on-sight policy has now been issued for anyone caught carrying a gun. The Carr has been griped by a sporadic violence since 2014 after the president, Francois Bozos, was removed in a coup. Fierce fighting, see, and there's another one that was removed in a coup. Fierce fighting then erupted between predominantly Christian and Muslim fighters, prompting the intervention of former colonial power France under a UN mandate. So I just wonder if this is the going thing these days, guys. If they go around creating these governmental coups, taking you know, I'm assuming that this person was elected by their people, and then they removed him because, you know, he wasn't playing along their party lines, I guess. And so they had the coup to take him out of office. And of course, that country got enraged. So is that what this is all about? You know, I'm just asking, is that what this is about? You know, that all this gun control situation that we have all of a sudden going on? I don't know. The PK5 district, where many Muslim traders took refuge in 2013, is a trigger point. And again, I just, it's, you know, I understand if you had wild savages going on, all elections or selections, yeah. I understand if you have all of these things going on, transpiring to where you had, you know, just, well, the first thing that comes to mind is the Rodney King riots, okay? Sorry. But that was all unnecessary. If you've got a bunch of unruly people just out there causing a bunch of chaos for no reason, most definitely, I say, you need to get them taking, you know, corralled up. They're disrupting, they're belligerent, which I am loving to hate that word belligerent, because that is indeed what I do believe that they are trying to set the stage here to make Virginians and the rest of Americans look belligerent. And that's what their term is going to be to use, as you just heard me use it in this column from Al Jazeera. Anyway, so we have the UN government forces declaring the Carr capital district weapons free. I'm going to show you guys, well, we'll talk, I have an article here from WSLS.com that says changes in the Virginia, what Democratic lawmakers say they'll do with the control of the legislature. Roanoke, Virginia, along with the new year, it also be a new era in Virginia politics in 2020. The Democratic lawmakers will have control of both houses of the Commonwealth General Assembly when the session starts next week. Senators and delegates are making the final adjustments to their plans ahead of the discussions on numerous topics, which include gun rights, taxes, education and transportation funding, healthcare, changes, and more. Virginia Democrats are soaring into the new session, eager to engineer change. I'm very excited, said Senator John Edwards, the Democrat from Roanoke, a longtime leader in the Senate. I think we can get a lot done. There are a lot of things that need to be done that haven't been done in a long time. Senator Steve Newman, a Republican senator leader representing the Lynchburg area, has a warning. He worried Democrats won't cooperate and won't be civil. Two descriptions that they have described Virginia Senate for generations and often otherwise combative political. With the control comes enormous responsibility, Newman said. I'm very, very concerned. This is the first year that I'm starting to hear some very radical things come out of some of these proposals. He's worried that the Commonwealth will shift dramatically to be the political left. That includes the gun right debate, which has been heated with demonstrations from both pro-gun right activists and their opponents happening all around the state in the last few months. Nearly 100 Virginia localities have stated formal opposition to the potential new gun laws, declaring themselves Second Amendment sanctuaries. Democrats want to pass a number of gun control measures. Nobody's Second Amendment rights will be infringed upon. I can assure you of that, Edwards said. Newman disagrees. He said Republicans will look for some Democrat to take their side, as some of the Senate have in the past, and he called out Edwards by name. We're going to be looking to those members, for instance, like John Edwards. Is he willing to be reasonable about guns, Newman said. 10 News brought the question to Edwards. Senator Newman knows me, and I think he knows I'm reasonable, Edwards said. We disagree on some things, but we've worked together on a personal basis very well for a long time. One clashes over the proposed banned so-called assault weapons. I'm very concerned about our state police officers and other law enforcement officers if they are asked to enforce what could be an unconstitutional laws, Newman said. Republicans are worried officers would have to go door to door to take guns. Democrats say that won't happen. They'll be grandfathered in, for one thing. Secondly, nobody's going to break into somebody's house, Edwards said. The Democrats' ideal is for anyone who has a weapon that falls into that category to be able to keep it if they register it. Well, that's still an infringement on your rights. And why are you going to go register your weapons to keep your own property? This is an infringement, and it's ridiculous. It is ridiculous, to say the least. You go register yourself so they have your address, so they know in the state who has what, and they're going to come and get all of it, right? It's time to bring Virginia into the 21st century, and I think Democrats are going to do just that, Edwards said. For the first time since early 1990s, Democrats will have control of all three aspects of the government in Richmond: the governor's mansion, the House of Delegates, and the Senate. They're also eyeing an increase in tax revenue. Under Democratic proposal, a higher tobacco tax will go toward a healthy care initiative, and increased gas tax will be funneled toward road improvements, and overall there will be more money for education. So if you guys didn't think that Virginians were paying enough taxes, guess what? You're going to pay more thanks to those Democrats. Next time you'll make sure there's a Republican on that ticket, won't you? Edwards said that while upping taxes might not be popular, it's necessary. I think we do need to raise taxes to make sure they go into infrastructure of our economy, he said. Republican leaders oppose most of it, if not all of the tax increases, and say under the budget outlined by Governor Ralph Northam, they total about $1 billion. Virginians could see not only the largest tax increase in Virginia's history, but one that would really go after working Virginians, Newsman said. Gas tax increases have drawn criticism for years. Local Democrats say rural roads need state funding. Local Republicans feel that Virginia needs to find another way to pay for improvements. On health care, the parties have argued over the one specific part of Medicaid expansion passed last year requiring recipients to work. Democrats say they want to get rid of that this session. On one spot of the agreement could come from a topic of education. Democrats want to further increase K-12 funding, including raises for teachers. Republican leaders say they're on board, and Newman says he will specifically likes that they're focused on the low-income areas. We will be glad to work with the governor on making sure that our schools are at best that they can be, he said. Democratic proposals include more than $500 million more in funding from the state. I think there are a lot of things we can work together on. I expect that they'll happen, Edwards said. Equal rights is also expected to be the topic for Virginia lawmakers. Democrats will try again to pass the Equal Rights Amendment, which also has been proposed since 1920 for the U.S. Constitution. It aims to solidify equality based on gender, and this is the Equality Act that the House has introduced in Washington D.C. They haven't voted. No, it has voted. That's the one that has passed. It's passed the House, but to my knowledge, it hasn't passed the Senate. So now, since it hasn't passed the Senate, guys, this is how they're going to go about getting it taken into effect in all these states. They've already got Illinois basically implementing this Equality Act there. So now they've got Virginia doing it. I think there's another state that has got some similar laws that are in this Equality Act, which is ridiculous. Anyway, because it infringes on your individual rights as a woman for your children. It's ridiculous. Anyway, it aims to. I think the ERA will pass very quickly. We have the votes in both houses, Edwards said. The Democratic leaders also hope to pass legislation that would protect members of the LGBT community for discrimination. The legislation starts January 8th at the state capitol in Richmond. 10 News will be there to report what lawmakers are saying about the changes that could be affecting Virginians in 2020. Okay, so we have that article there about the upcoming changes. I want to touch also here on this article that I came across that says wearechange.org, and it's an executive order that the United Nations are allowed to use force on U.S. citizens, and this is added. I don't like really talking about all of this stuff over in this platform, but there's so much stuff that is being put out, and everyone needs this information. So I am going to read it, and we'll just have to deal with it. It says the United Nations military troops may soon arrive and see action on American soil following the United States announcement of support for a set of principles that give a green light for the UN peacekeeping troops and police to use force to protect the civilians in armed conflicts. Military Times reports. The militarization of local police combined with the arrival of the United Nations military presence could mean big trouble for liberty and freedom here in America. U.S. Ambassador Samantha Power told attendees at an important UN meeting that the United States was proud and humbled to be included in the new agenda and promised to follow by the 18 pledges. The arrival of the United Nations requires federalization of police in order to set a global standard of law enforcement. President Barack Obama has announced on the opportunity to exploit recent shootings to push for the federalization of local police forces. Videos have been flooding the internet documenting the United Nations military-like vehicles moving across America. And this would not be the first time American politicians have attempted to sell their citizens out to the powers of the United Nations. The UN's first attempt to capture America was in 1951. In strange fashion, forces flying the flag of the United Nations began to occupy small towns and cities across the United States. This was intended to test the will of the people and to see if they would accept a UN takeover. The test failed and sparked controversy and concerns over a revolution in the making that would destroy any plot formulated by the Council on Foreign Relations and the United Nations. UNs were quickly met with much resistance and silently left occupied government buildings and removed the United Nations flags nationwide. Broadcaster Myron C. Fagan documented in the secretive operation in the 1960s, claiming the UN invasions were intended to be completely hush-hush. The mass media were very accommodating, and the local newspapers and radio stations in the invaded cities were kept silent under the order of the UN. However, in several of the cities, the local police refused to be captured. That caused quite an uproar. True, only locally, but it threatened to spread nationwide, especially after troops and officers assigned to the additional invasion units refused to serve the alarmed plotters, hastily halted all further invasions. President Obama had signed an executive order that allows for the U.S. military to use force against American citizens for the first time in history. The order was signed on July 1st, 2016, and is entitled Executive Order, United States Policy on Pre- and Post-Strike Measures to Address Civilian Casualties in the U.S. Operations Involving the Use of Force. The order appears to have changed the rules of engagement between the military and ordinary U.S. citizens in an end around the Constitution. White House Gov reports. It says, and of course this is an older article, but you guys have to have old articles to find these executive orders that give the UN the powers to do what they're going to be doing. The United States policy on pre- and post-strike measures to address civilian casualties in the U.S. operations involving the use of force. By the authority vested in me as President of the Constitution and the law of the United States of America, I hereby direct as follows. Section 1. Purpose. The United States policy on civilian casualties resulting from U.S. operations involving the use of force in armed conflict or in the exercise of the nation's inherent right of self-defense is based on our national interest, our values, and our legal obligations as a nation. We are steadfast committed to complying with our obligations under the law of armed conflict, including those that address the protection of civilians, such as the fundamental principles of necessity, humanity, distinction, and proportionately. The protection of civilian is fundamentally consistent with the efficient, and decisive use of force in pursuit of the U.S. national interest. Minimizing civilian casualties can further mission objectives, help maintain the support of partner governments and the vulnerabilities of populations, especially in the conduct of counterterrorism and counterinsurgency operations, and enhance the legitimacy and the sustainability of the U.S. operations critical to our national security. As a matter of policy, the United States therefore routinely imposes certain heightened policy standards that are more protective than requirements of the law of armed conflict that relate to the protection of civilians. Civilian casualties are a tragic and at times unavoidable consequences of the use of force in situations of armed conflict or in the exercise of states' inherent right of the self-defense. The U.S. government shall maintain and promote best practices that reduce a likelihood of civilian casualties, take appropriate steps when such casualties occur, and draw lessons from our operations to further enhance the protections of our civilians. Section 2 Policy. In furtherance of the U.S. government efforts to protect civilians in the U.S. operations involving the use of force in armed conflict or in the exercise of the nation's inherent right of self-defense and the view toward enhancing such efforts, relevant departments and agencies shall continue to take certain measures in present and future operations. In particular, relevant agencies shall consist with mission objectives and applicable law, including the law of armed conflict. I train personnel commensurate with the responsibility of compliance with legal obligations and policy guidance that addresses the protection of civilians and on implementation of best practices that reduce the likelihood of civilian casualties, including through exercises, pre-deployment training, and simulations of complex operational environment that include civilians, the develop, acquire, and field intelligence surveillance and reconnaissance systems that by enabling more accurate battle space awareness to contribute to the protection of civilians. I don't see how giving the UN this power is, you know, protecting us. I'm skipping a little bit. It says, acknowledge the U.S. government responsibility for civilian casualties and offer condolences, including ex gratia payments to civilians who are injured or to families of civilians who are killed. Civilians that are killed. Report on strikes undertake the U.S. government against terrorist targets outside. Anyway, I was trying to get to it where so it says Barack Obama, the White House, July 1st, 2016. So this is where he signed it, guys, to give them the power to come and do whatever they wish to do with us. And you could read the entire thing. I wanted to get some of that out there. This here is an article from News Punch, and it says the United Nations to impose martial law in the U.S. The United Nations have been authorized to deploy foreign troops to the American soil under the banner of the UN flag to install martial law in the United States. The UN are here to take away citizen guns and send user descendants into FEMA camps. And this article, it says thecommonsense.com reports. The following is Associated Press. It validates everything that I've been saying for the past 3 years. The UN is here, and they are going to be used to subjugate the people of the United States. The United States has announced its support for a set of principles that give a green light for the UN peacekeeping troops and police to use the force to protect the civilians in armed conflicts. And again, I guess that just goes to show why they are, you know, I've covered this. I shared this the other day. This is also they have this, and I'll share it again. This is why they have the job posting, guys, for disarmament, demobilization, and reintegration officers. That's the posting title. The job code title is the same, except for it drops the P4. The department is the Department of Peace Operations. The duty station is in New York. And of course, the responsibilities are, their focal point is for disarmament. Okay? We can't get much clearer than that. So we know what their plan is. And this here is an article from National File, and it says that New York UN officer recruits paramilitary troops for disarmament and reintegration of the U.S. civilians. And this article was written on December 31st. It says the United Nations is now accepting the job application in New York City, the New York for Disarmament, Demobilization, and Reintegration offices to contribute to security and stability in the post-conflict environments. The job listing was posted to the UN on December 26th, and it's going to run through February 8th, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is what it was. Let me... February 8th. And then I just want to point out this one other thing about all of this, and I'll get back to that article. But have you guys visited? I have this in my video that I did, this special video that I did. And you can see it better because it's actually on the screen monitor. But I want to point out that they reference the ongoing cash crisis. Is there an ongoing cash crisis in the United States that I don't know, that I am not aware of? Does anyone know about an ongoing cash crisis that is here in the United States? Because this is the UN site for New York. The address is the 46th Street and the 1st Avenue in New York 117. And in the big pink bold things, it tells you they'll be closed on the 25th and the 1st. Happy holidays. But then it says, due to the ongoing cash crisis, they'll be closed on the Saturdays and Sundays until further notice. So I'm just curious, has anyone heard that we have a cash crisis? I hope you guys can see that. I don't know how well you can see that. I just tell everyone to go check out visit the UN.org, and you can pull it up yourself, and you can see the little nice pretty pink banner that goes across it that tells us that there's a cash crisis. Anyway, just curious, if you guys know of a cash crisis, let me know. Well, where is this cash crisis at? How is is it because they're not getting funding?
It's the UN don't have the money.
Oh, the UN doesn't have the money. Okay.
That's why they're not open all them days, because the UN don't have the money to pay the people.
Okay.
It ain't the US has a cash problem, it's the UN has money problem.
Yeah, okay. Well, my husband clarified for that. He's telling me it's the UN doesn't have the money. It's not that there is a cash crisis. But I'm like, they should just say because of UN funding, instead of say a cash crisis, because that leaves it open to just a number of things, you know. Yeah, the Trump has cut their funding. I know this. That's why I'm like, but why would why put it out there? It's a cash crisis. It might be a funding crisis, but it's not a cash crisis. A cash crisis is something all on its own, you know. That's saying that there's a cash crisis everywhere, and there's not that. Just maybe for them. They need to reword that. I can see you, Drop. Who can't see you? It's propaganda. Yeah, exactly. I mean, but why would they say it? Just doesn't make sense. Why put it out there, cash crisis, if it's a funding crisis, making people worried? Yeah, needlessly. That's it. I'm like, give me a break. We have enough things to worry about other than that. But anyway, so, you know, I don't know if anybody's going to run and go put in their application at the UN, but, you know, hey, if you want to go and be part of their disarmament for demobilization, and I guess that's why they, and they are hiring, yeah, right. How do they expect these people to get paid? Or, you know, how are they going to afford to pay them? Morning. They're hiring, but they have a cash crisis, all in the same. Exactly. Isn't that not ironic? It just sounds so funny. Just saying it, you know? I'm sorry. My battery is fixing to die, guys. So I have to plug it up here. Get it situated, hopefully. Hiring new idiots, yeah, right. Well, I can tell everybody because I don't have a whole lot of contacts, but living in Tennessee for such a long time, we have family friends that work for the that work at he's a state trooper. Okay, we have a friend that is a Tennessee state trooper, and all of this talk with the situation that's supposed to transpire in January, I was curious because there's talk of them, you know, putting up a blockade from on the Tennessee border to keep people in or whatever. And as of right now, I can report that nobody to my to my source. I don't want to get him in trouble, so I'm not going to put out his rank or his name. But I can tell you that there is supposedly, according as of last night, there has not been any mention to the state troopers in Tennessee to aid in any kind of blockade. Now, if the blockade is only going to be on the Virginia side and not the Tennessee side, I have no earthly ideal. But you would think that if they were going to make some kind of blockade on the state line, that they would have to or would entail getting a hold of the Tennessee side. And according as, like I said, of last night, there has not been any mention that I will say that the low level officers know about. How's that? It might be for the higher ups to know, but they are not sharing that information. So as of right now, there has not been anything said to the Tennessee state troopers in helping blocking that border. And that was confirmed last night. And in fact, the other question that I asked was, and this here is a Marine vet, okay, that is a Tennessee State patrol officer. I asked him also if given the same scenario that is supposedly taking place in Virginia, if they were to tell them that they would lose their jobs and to help take American guns, where he would stand, if he would be willing to give up his job to support the Second Amendment. And this is his quote, word for word, if I can get it out, guys. Government, good luck with that, is exactly what he said. So apparently I believe there's going to be enough law enforcement that will not go along with any of these if it should transpire in Tennessee or anything to that nature. So that's a good thing, I think. But again, we are talking one state trooper, not the entire force of Tennessee. So at least I have, to me, that's a little hope, knowing that there's more law enforcement that, will stand up to protect the Second Amendment. And I don't know where everybody else is on that situation, but that is what I found out. The bill in Virginia are just a little rewording or current of the existing law. The law has nothing to do with firing police if they don't take firearms. Well, there's been talk that they're supposed to be putting in a bill that if they don't comply with executing the new gun laws, that they will fire them. And that is the question of the hour, Carolyn. From what I have uncovered, and I really did make a pretty good video. And this is a big if they are truthful with their with the report that they put out in 2016. Now this is a 5-year-old report now. Or a 4-year-old report. If they if the numbers are current, they only have 100,000 UN troops. I don't believe that they just have 100,000 troops, but that is what it reports. And it also has in that report
the reason
the number.
They have 100,000 is they're hiring them.
Yeah, and so now, of course, that is probably why they are trying to do this mass hiring, I'm sure, to get more. But, you have to know that if they're hiring for New York to take for this disarmament and the DDR, that is exactly what they're going to do. And I do hope everybody goes and takes a look at that video that I made on Brighton, because it has the DDR book in there. And if nothing else, you go and check out the Wixit site that has the two. I have two sections that have links for UN articles and UN PDFs that have all of the stuff that the UN can do. It has it all, guys. It's gonna get ugly when they come for the folks' guns. Probably lots of bloodshed for sure. And so this is that's gonna severely screw the POTUS unemployment rates, and lots will be struggling. Yes, it will, and that's why this. I mean, it's really a bad situation all the way around. But I mean, it's like, given the mere fact that they just recently unconstitutionally pulled off this impeachment sham, I say that this is stage 2 to part 1 of overturning America. No, they don't have to create a separate law force. No, according to that executive order that I was just reading. I didn't read all of it, but according to that, Obama gave them free reign pretty much. And it is lots of possible variables. And the way that according to the executive order and everything that I have actually read, we will be labeled belligerent, and they will have to come in when the chaos ensues and be stabilizers.
Okay, I got a question for you.
And California was the first to confiscate. You're correct. And New York followed suit. And everyone doesn't realize, but these 17 states that have red flag laws also are going to play a big, important, key role when all of this stuff starts happening. Okay, what? My husband's ready to say something.
No, question. All right. This executive order, when was it passed or signed? Who done it?
Barack Obama.
All right. Well, then if it's an executive order, cannot Trump nullify it?
Yeah, Trump can. That's what Drop just said. And my husband cannot see what you said because he was in the kitchen washing dishes, Drop. So that's pretty funny.
Yeah,
but
so that
Drop said
executive
the same
order ain't
thing.
going to be worth a crap because as Trump can say no, he can.
Trump
disempower
can.
it.
Trump can. So I would suggest that everyone get on the phone. You've been belligerent all your life, Carolyn, about laws and government. I hear you. I would definitely say that people need to get on the phone, call their congressmen, call their senators, and request that they get a legislation passed to undo all of this mess. Hey, Mark, how are you, honey? It's crazy, guys. It is. Absolutely, positively crazy. Anyway, that is all the articles that I have, guys. And I will put this last article that I have. I forgot that it was in my queue because it was at a different part. But I will get this article along with that article that I read from the Hill in there. The topic was really, I gave an update. You're fine, Mark. I gave an update on the city. I had several articles on the situation in Iraq. And so, and then I gave a couple of just other little headline news. There was a deputy sheriff killed, not a sheriff, but a deputy killed in Panola, Texas. Here in Texas, we're standing tall and behind everyone else for a fight. Yeah, and Sandra, I mean, and they just changed your guys' gun laws there as well. And it's just, you live in Washington State, being a liberal state, you won't believe it, but this is the stand your ground state, and if someone is stealing stuff out of your yard, you can shoot them. Oh, wow. I don't believe it. You were right, Drop. I don't believe it.
I think everybody needs to be like that city in, what is it, Georgia?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that it's a city ordinance that everybody that lives in that town has to be a gun owner.
Yeah, that's it. So, anyway, I think it's insane, but Florida here to stand your ground. Yeah. Well, I know that in Texas you would have think that it would be stand your ground as well. The force will make you comply. Yeah, it's true. But we know of an incident where a man was shot, an intruder was shot as he was crawling in somebody's window, and he actually got charged with murder because the gentleman didn't pull him all the way in the.
No, when he shot him, it blew him out of the house.
It blew him out of the house. I'm sorry. When he shot him with his shotgun, it blew him out of the house. And so because his body was on the outside and not on the inside, he was charged with murder. Which is insane, mind you. But it's true. He was charged with murder.
Yeah, I mean, come on. It's just like with Jim and his trailer being stolen from the hotel there in Texas.
Yeah.
And because he made him unhook from it, the cops couldn't get the guy for theft because he wasn't hooked up to his truck anymore.
Right. So I love Texas, but they do have some strange laws. My husband grew up in Texas. Your neighbor is an ex-state trooper. Yeah, I hear you, and he's not giving up his arsenal. I hear you. I'm with him, you know. I mean, and I was really eager to hear from my friend in Tennessee, that state trooper in Tennessee, to know if how and if anything had been said to the state troopers there, because you would think, and this is just me, you would think that if they had plans on a blockade like they're talking about, or like it has been reported, that they would coordinate with Tennessee. But, yeah, well, I don't know. I've never had a problem with state troopers. State troopers have always been nice to me in Tennessee, so I can't say that. I lived there for 10, 15 years, and I never had a problem one. And the guy I know, he's pretty cool. So he's not, he was our neighbor for, I don't know, 10, 15 years in Tennessee. Yeah. Anyway, so, but you would think that, and that doesn't mean that they haven't coordinated with the state of Tennessee, and they just haven't, they're not going to give the orders until late, you know, who knows, but you would think that as the closer it gets, and I was told that I would get word if he got word. So now, hopefully, he won't forget to call me if things change. But, you know, I do know that, you know, he might not want me knowing because I don't live there anymore. If they are going to, they will use DOT checkpoints. They have always wanted to pull in non-commercial vehicles to search them. Yeah, and that's why I'm saying they would, and that would, and you know, so they would have to, you know, hi Terry Christ, Happy New Year. How is your nephew? I'm just curious. I haven't seen you in a few days. I'm curious about your nephew. I hope he's doing well. Yeah, you would think though that they would coordinate a little bit. So, I'm going to check again probably in about 2 weeks, right before, if I don't hear from him myself, to see, you know. But you never know. You don't ever know. Yeah, and you're probably right, Drop. You're exactly right. They will probably use DUI checks as an excuse. Now, now I will tell you this: Tennessee itself does DUI blockades. It's not nothing for them to do a blockade, whatever roadblocks for DUI checks. They do them all the time. A roadblock coming to a town near you soon. Not to check your driver's license and insurance. Yeah, no, it's not. Yeah, yeah, but they do check your driver's license and insurance too. But they're looking for everything these days. Getting into the radio citizens vehicles. Lots of people don't know MMJ transport license are needed to get their meds back and forth. Yeah, that's right, Carolyn. Yeah, and don't dare not be, if you have a vehicle, you better make sure if there is a any kind of prescription in the vehicle that it belongs to you. Don't let no one use your vehicle and have some blood pressure medicine in the glove box or something, and they find it and you're not that person. You will get in trouble. He's out of the hospital. He has to have many surgeries. Aw. Well, I'm glad that he's out of the hospital. So that means he's doing better. I will continue to keep him lifted up in prayer, Terry, and make sure that those surgeries go well. You live right on I-75. Strange, they are adding lanes and entrances, exit, all going north, county after country. Yep. That is kind of crazy, Colleen. It's just weapons they want, or they will do a run of people's silvers, etc. Yeah. What's the worst thing is the gun laws vary, so that's the legal in the state. Yeah, and that's why I said these if that's what their plan is to come in here and disarm everybody. That's why I think these 17 states and any other state that it does a red flag law, it's going to be their backdrop.
Well, I feel sorry if they go to Arkansas.
Oh my gosh. Okay, my husband's going to tell you about this guy that used to work for him. Brown's his last name. Randy. Oh God.
Goofy.
I'm sorry, me and my big mouth. I just get. Well, nobody. There's lots of Randy Browns, I'm sure. But anyway, go ahead. Tell him.
Oh. No, Randy has probably the largest arsenal of guns and ammunition than even a gun store has. At the last time I talked to him, which was probably about 15 years ago, no, 10 years ago, he had over 2 million rounds of ammo in his house. So, yeah, let them try and disarm in Arkansas, and I guarantee you they would have to bomb him out of there because he has enough ammo to last for a couple years.
Yeah, he doesn't play. Oh man, I'm sorry. I did not mean to give his name.
There's a lot of people in Arkansas that are that way.
Not that you guys are going to know who he is, but I didn't mean to do that. So Randy, if you're watching this, I really did not mean to do that. He's one of those people that the dreams that he would have that he told at work were kind of scary dreams. He's one of those people you did not want to make him your enemy. That is for sure. But he was a good guy to us. 10,000 rounds a lot. Is 10,000 rounds a lot? I don't know.
That's 10,000, baby.
10,000?
Yeah, K means thousand.
Yeah, 10,000.
That's a pretty good amount of ammo.
Brandy, he says that's a pretty good bit of ammo.
Yeah, but we're talking to somebody who has.
Well, he had 2 million, and he was still buying. He wasn't stopping.
And he said he was going to buy more when they was talking about where you couldn't buy ammo at Academy and that anymore.
Your brother's name is Randy? Kieran? Oh my goodness. Oh, it's not. He doesn't live in Arkansas, does he? If he does, don't tell him I said anything. Oh. and have that much. They do the surveillance on the interstates. They also have an eye in the sky. Yeah, oh, believe me, I know. They have they have eyes everywhere. You can't go anywhere, and they don't know where you're at. That's for sure. Drop. Yeah, we know that. We've got. Oh, speaking of Rambo, I will tell you guys, if you have not seen Last Blood, Rambo's Last Blood, that was a good movie, but that was like the most grossest movie.
You thought Blade was
and I thought Blade was a gross movie, but this one was, oh my goodness sakes, it's disgusting, but it was a very good movie. Yeah, digital fingerprint.
Yeah, it made you cry.
And it did make me cry, because, you know, hey, but I'm good. I'm a crier, guys. It's a satellite military, yeah. And the sad part about it is you're not going to run out of, it's like, you know, they'll have you pinpoint and you're not going to escape it. There's just no way. Yeah, we do. They won't tell you they do, but yeah, we do, Mark. We have facial recognition in Walmarts. I've seen cameras on light poles. I mean, they have them everywhere. They have them in those little bitty the little box things, you know, that are on the side of the interstate. Yeah, they do. They sure do, guys.
Yeah, and if you want to see a movie about all that kind of stuff, is that movie Six Underground with what's his name from Green Lantern? What's that actor?
Oh, Green Lantern is Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, yeah, and in that movie, they're all private operatives, but they say that Las Vegas has the most facial recognition surveillance anywhere.
Yeah. So did you guys hear that? My husband said that Las Vegas, according to, I don't know, whatever movie or whatever it was he was watching, supposedly Las Vegas has the most facial recognition out of anybody in the United States. And I can see it, but that's only because, and that was a good movie, Kevin says. Yeah. And I can see it because of all the casinos. And you got to know that they have the facial recognition in the banks. They have it everywhere here. I mean, and yeah. Yep, and they are too. They have them disguised as many things I've seen. They're going to get you for poaching and everything else. They've had cameras in deers and I don't know what other.
Hush up about the cannibal deers. Let me tell that story.
Yeah. That's funny. Lived near there for a long time. Yeah. Lots of stuff, lots of info. That's why I said you've got to just be prepared and know everything. And as much as every time that I look, I find something new about the UN. I find a new order. I just find new stuff, and so I will share that information. Oh no. Oh. Let me see. Hold on. Psh. trying to see something real quick, guys. But there is lots and lots and lots of information out there, guys. There is. And Carolyn, she meant to hit view and she hit the wrong button on your message. But yeah, I looked to see what it said, and yeah, I agree. We need to look at that. Homecoming with Julia Roberts, what is it? She figures out they are brainwashing our vets to return to the battlefield. PTSD treatment with Khamenei in Utah. Wow. I haven't seen that yet. If you look at the chart in the UN, the CFR, it's all interconnected and how entangled with our government. Yeah, like I said, if you go drop and you look at all that, if you just go to the Wixit site, if you don't want to waste the time and look at my videos, you can go and you can check out some of that information. You probably have all of that information, but it's all in one spot. And some of that information, if your only search engine is Google, you're not gonna find. I found most of it on DuckDuckGo. So I hope that if you guys are doing any kind of investigation, reporting or anything, use something other than Google, because they suppress so much. Put in trance, like say in real life they are using ketamine as treatment for PTSD. Yeah. Oh yeah, they do. You never use Google. Well, I mean Google. You have to have Google to have YouTube. So, and I usually use it for just to look for the news articles. But if you want to get other things that you can't get from the mainstream media, you might want to use DuckDuckGo. You use DuckDuckGo? Yeah. They do have, it does have a better variety, I guess is what we'll say. Oh, wow. That would be an interesting one to investigate too. I've been checking into some of this stuff with all the radioactive and leaks that at that Hanford project there in Washington, and I've been looking into other things as well. It's crazy. No, DuckDuckGo doesn't cost. Not that I know of. I've been using it for free. And you can use Google to get to DuckDuckGo. I just highly recommend that you use to check other things out. You use something else other than just Google. I'm just saying, because like I said, I know for a fact that some of the articles that I have in that one, the very first video that I did, that was like a 2-hour video on Brighton and on Josh Who TV. That video itself, every article that's in there, I could not find on Google. Now, not saying you can't. I couldn't find it though. I tried. You live about 260 miles from the Hanford situation? And see, that is so crazy. And to think, drop, that that thing has been going on for so long. I mean, they have been working on the cleanup since 1989, and there was in 2018, I think it was last year or the year before last. It was 18 or 17. There was a tunnel that collapsed, and they had a leak, and there's worrying of it reaching being contaminated in the water and everything else. You know, the table water. It's crazy. It is just insane. Hey, JR, how are you, hon? It is just insane to think that it takes them so long to clean up. I mean, yeah, granted, you probably have to take a whole bunch of extra measures, but you would think that that would be one of the top priorities, but it's not been a top priority. And there was just another situation with a link of some kind of radioactive chemical at a different plant, and it just goes to show that all of these nuclear plants, people just, you got to be careful. This plutonium is nothing to play with. And the new pharmaceuticals, are we talking about something else? Not quite sure. But it's just...
A lot of the pharmaceutical places have
Happy New Year, truth be told.
radiation, have plutonium.
So good to see you.
Your mom, in her pill bottle for her cancer medicine, it has a radioactive pill in it.
Yeah. My mom takes chemo, and of course it's got a small amount of radiation in it.
A pill that has to stay in it.
Yeah. There's a pill that has to stay in it. If the power goes out for more than 2 weeks, everyone east of the Mississippi will get radiation poisoning. Oh, I'm sure. Because the reactors would go down. I'm sure, Amazing Drop. Huh. But yeah, it's crazy to think that we have such an issue, and how long that it's taken them to contain this. And and here, you had that everyone was complaining about the issue in China, I guess it was, or Japan. Goodness sakes. Fukushima, whenever it went and they lost all that radioactive sludge crap, you would think, and I'm just saying, you would think that, we're ones to talk when you got all this mess going on here in great United States of Hanford, in Washington. It's sad. And somebody needs to be getting on the ball. And supposedly the cleanup has stalled because they've ran out of funding. The pumps to cool the cores would last about 2 weeks before they... Wow. Yeah, and if you look at the map, if anyone looks at the map on all the nuclear reactors, to see how many, I did not know there was so many reactors. I mean, I guess it's one of those things you just don't think about researching, but you look into it and you can see all the places that have these nuclear reactors, and it's crazy. Oh yeah, most definitely. Prayers for no MPs. Yeah, no doubt. And Japan is talking about releasing it into the ocean and sea, and that'll just kill more fish. Taking sleeping aids. Oh, you take sleeping aids. Wow. Well, I pray that we don't have no EMP or no kind of coronal mass ejection or anything to that nature where we would lose power for 2 weeks. It would be brutal, that's for sure. Power plant is why your spiders are so big. Oh, that's funny, Carolyn. That is just too funny, guys. That is just way funny. I'm sorry. Yeah, and it is sad that our food and water is killing us off. And that is why I mean, and you can take all the precautionary measures that you can, so that you don't get that poison, but it's just scary that you have to take extra measures to make sure that you have safe water to drink. Food shortages, prepare. Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. And I love fish, and my mom loves. We are a fish-eating family here. If something happens to our power grid, parts are coming from China. I'm sure that they are. The will be down for good in 2020. You think that drop? Do you have any articles to support that, or hey Mark, I'm glad you're back. You love some catfish. See, I'm not a big catfish eater, Sandra. I like salmon more. Salmon's my favorite. You meant 2022? Okay. What do you think's going to happen in 2022? If I may ask, I'm just curious, Drop. Yeah, that's exactly it. I want to know. You're going to see an economic, well, yeah. And that's kind of my, a lot of people are talking about the looming crisis as we speak. And given everything that's going on with, you like trout? I like trout too. Trout is a good fish to eat as well. Yes. Salmon is, I just like salmon though. I like salmon so much. You like bread? I'm not a bread eater. It would be yours also. But, and that's how come I have to poke fun at the UN for their wording of their cash crisis. I understand they may not have funding, but that's not a cash crisis. It might be their cash crisis, but you go putting out cash crisis and you're going to have people freaking the heck out. We might have one soon, but we don't have one yet. Grilled and buttered lemon. Oh yeah, most definitely. Early 2021 is time up on preparing. Oh, most definitely. I think everybody should be preparing. Oh, yes. Store up food and water. So true. Yes, indeed, Karen. That is very true. I hope everybody is prepared and is buying water, buying some kind of water purifier, buying buying the things that that you can barter with as well. I mean, don't just buy food and stuff is good, but you want to make sure you have plenty of other things that you won't be able to find. And I don't smoke cigarettes, but I think I might start buying a carton of cigarettes to have for barter, because if people can't get their smokes, they're going to be, some very nervous people. I'm on that seafood diet. I seafood and I eat. Oh, you are too funny, Brandy. I'm on that seafood diet as well. Speaking of, I'm going to be right back. Got to eat meds or need it. Okay, girl. Yeah, don't forget to take your medicine. Did you see that? I did see the Pope slapping that overzealous fan. Yes, I did. That was crazy, Hooflong. It was. Yeah, coffee is a big item, a trait. Yeah, we have coffee, but we're coffee drinker. My husband's a big coffee drinker, so I don't know that we could barter our coffee. He'll want to keep that for personal consumption, you know. So I mean, I know that it takes money to do all these things, but you can do it in small increments. But think of something that you don't use that would be a good tool. I mean, if you don't drink, maybe you want to buy alcohol and store some alcohol somewhere. Anything. I mean, I know that that's promoting drinking or whatever, but I'm just giving you, I would, you make shine, there you go. I'm just saying, have other things that you can barter. Because it is going, you couldn't barter your coffee. Yeah, I'm not going to barter my coffee. We want to keep my husband happy, and so we would have to keep that. But tobacco, yeah, we neither one smoke, so I could buy cigarettes, and we could barter that. That's for sure. And you drink coffee 24/7. Yeah. Alcohol will last longer than rubbing alcohol and hydrogen peroxide. Well, that's good to know. I didn't think about that drop. Learn to grow your own dro. I hear you, Carolyn. I don't do that, but you know, whatever you got to do, I guess. But yeah. But I would definitely, if you can, just start when you prep, just buy something that you know that you're not going to use that you could barter with. Gasoline gets the camo cream off your hands and face. Oh my God, I don't think I could put gasoline on my face. I'm going to Renee's. Oh no, you don't want to come to my house for that. Yeah, the Pope did no, he did no, the Pope, I didn't see a picture of the Pope slapping a kid. There was a picture of a priest or a bishop or whoever he was slapping a kid, but I did see the Pope slap a woman or try to get his she grabbed him and he didn't like it. There's a picture on, are you on Twitter? That's where I saw it, was on Twitter. And I do have dip, guys. I do. Quit telling them, Kevin. They're going to be coming to my house for the dip. I might not have all the chips, but I'll have the dip, that's for sure, because I am a dip. And I'm stealing all of Kevin's dip, guys. You bad boy. So I have all the dip. I figure I can trade you a can of dip for some chips. Yeah. Uh-huh. Oh, what kinds of dip? I got all kinds. I got every flavor. What kind did you say that I took, Kevin?
Hey, you ain't gonna be so loud.
What kind did I take, Kevin? I'll be there. We can trade. That's it. We will trade. We will trade. Copenhagen is micro. Fiesta. Mm-mm. Oh, I hear you. Yeah, it was horrible watching that, them do that. You'll bring the chips, okay, Terry. What can I bring to the party? I don't know. Water, I guess. I don't think anybody's going to have enough water. That's going to be the main. I think that's going to be everyone's main concern. I think people should focus more on water preparation than anything else, because you can live without food for a little while, but you ain't living without water. So is the UN invading? Well, I don't know if they are, but there is a lot of evidence that they are preparing for something. They're hiring in New York for disarmament, demobilization, and reintegration, which they're wanting to put everybody in camps, basically. And if you need to look at the PDFs I have of all those books, because I have every PDF there probably is. I might have missed a couple, so I won't say I can't make that claim. But I do have quite a few of those PDFs. So I do encourage everyone to check out the Wixit site and look under the UN sections. There's 2 of them. Or watch the video, because I did read most of it. You need some sport. Yeah, I like pork skins, but I'm really the only one that likes them. Me and my granddaughter, we're kind of on our own on that one.
Yeah.
You seen the New York article? Yeah. I'm going to go ahead. Speaking of, I'm going to update while I'm thinking about this. The Wixit site, guys. UN can't invade a sleepover. No, they can't invade a sleepover, but they sure can try. I think everybody that lives in New York that's a true patriot ought to go protest outside of the UN. They're posting their applicants. But then that might get you in trouble. I don't know. Just saying. So much happens, you know.
It's not illegal to go stand out in front of a building.
My husband says, it's not illegal to go stand out in front of the building. It's illegal to protest, though, I think, unless
No,
you...
it ain't. We can protest anything. That's your right.
Yeah, but don't you have to have a permit to protest?
No. All them people that have them protest out in the streets and sit and block traffic, you think they have a permit? No, they don't.
Well, I don't know. Don't you have to have a permit to protest, guys? Does anyone know that? Do you have to have a permit to protest?
No.
If you don't have to have a permit to protest, get back with me. We might make a trip to New York, guys. Those of us are right. Yeah, that's right. On the other side of the street. Yeah, that's it. What about all those coffin liners too? Oh yeah, man, I wish I still had. I had pictures of those coffins, guys. No kidding. Those coffin liners, whatever you want to call them. My husband will tell you. We were in Alabama, and we were in Spring Hill. It was Spring Hill, wasn't it?
Yeah. Spring
Hill, Alabama. We made a wrong turn looking for something, and it was on the back side of this. I think it was a cemetery. It was a cemetery, but they had those liners, and they had a slew of them. Now, I wouldn't say
It's
they...
not about a small town, so there was no reason for them to have that many lines.
Yeah, and we're talking about a very small town, so there was no reason for them to have all of those liners. And because it could have probably took care of the town that we lived in and that town, as many liners as we saw. But
It had enough for half of Alabama.
my husband said it had enough of liners that it would have covered half of Alabama. But I had it on the very first iPhone. I had the picture, and I didn't upload it to the iCloud, which I should have. But I did have pictures of it on my iPhone 5C, but that got broke and stolen. So anyway, but I have seen those liners in person. I wonder if has anybody else seen those besides us? But it is true.
And them liners hold more than one person.
Yeah, and those liners, as close as we was to it, they will hold more. They will probably hold about 5 people, is what my husband estimated. Because I asked him, I said, how many bodies do you think you could get in there? And he said,
5 regular people or 2 of me.
he said, yeah, that's what he said. If you guys heard him, 5 regular people or 2 of him. And my husband is a big guy, but You might could fit 3 big guys in there, but it might be a little snug. But 5 regular people could fit in there.
Yeah, because you don't care how you put them in there when they're dead.
That's it. Exactly. It's crazy, guys. But I have this new article from the Parliament for the New York. I'm gonna put it in there, National Life. And that article from the Hill that said that they were backing down there in I hate it when I can't find this stuff. And it's National File, not National Life. I'm just updating it. My honey's a trucker wondered about how the portable potty's being shipped. He's seen. Oh, really? I wonder where those portable potties are being shipped to as well. As long as they fight, as long as they fit, they're invading UN troops. They're supposed to hold 4 people. Well, that's a good guess. He guessed about 5. We've seen him in person, but that is just what he guessed, that it would hold about 5 people. They're huge. They definitely are huge, that's for sure. But I am going to give you guys that Hill article that says that those people were retreating. They're calling a big coup, though. That's what Kevin said he heard that they were called casket liners for state-fed use for convicts so that they don't have to pay for concrete sealed brain fart liners. They are essentially popular field cemetery. Yeah, right. I don't think so. AI 0000s. What's that up? What are you talking about? AI 000. Mark. Well, where did my retreat story go to? I hate it when you can't find a story that you know is supposed to be here. There it is. Come on, like really? Click on a commercial, guys. That's not good. That's not what I wanted. I found the article, though. Don't go on no cruise ship during a disaster. FEMA barges are to feed you alive to the fish, and what a horrible way to drown in a cage. Oh my goodness sakes. That would be horrible, Sandra. Popular as poor man, cheap burial. One of Mar's shows, someone said the O's tell was a governmental. The zeros tell was a governmental. Oh, when they got... Are you talking about the phone call or something? I'm not quite sure. I don't even answer the phone unless I know. Are you talking about the phone call that someone got with all the zeros and it was a, I think that was on, the Common Sense show. He got a threat and it was an 800 number. Yeah, phone calls. Okay. Yeah, thank God I haven't had anyone call me from a 000 number that I know of. I would probably freak out. I get enough telemarketers and spam calling my phone. With all the baby boomers dying, they expect to need cheap burials. I guess so. That would be the... Okay. So those two articles are updated now on the Wixit site, guys. They have been updated. Yay. Yeah, phone call. Sorry guys, I was trying to get those two little things updated to the Wixit site, so I had all the articles that I covered there, so that if you wanted to go and read the article yourself, because I didn't read all of it about the UN, but we've already been talking about the DDR, and I do have that DDR file, and it's crazy, guys, all the stuff that's in there, and the stuff that they'll do. And I had a VM from a CDC a while back. You had a VM from a CDC a while back. Huh. What kind of VM? And you have your plot and everything. I hear you. A bit, then torch them. Yeah. Lots of people or barges in the bottom of the ocean. I'm sure there is. A voicemail. Okay. Oh, you'd gotten a voicemail from the CDC? What the heck did the CDC leave you a voicemail for? Just curious. Hey, Amos, how are you, darling? Long time no see. They did it in Hawaii. I believe the one guy got away and hid. They found him, and well, no one has heard from him since. He was screaming to the people of what was happening in those ships. Wow, Sandra, that's scary. What about the voicemail from the CDC? What was the voicemail? Scammers from India. I don't doubt it. The police shut him up. Wow, that is scary, Sandra. That is very scary, to say the least. Sad, guys. Very sad. Wow. Yeah, they don't want the truth getting out, that's for sure. It's sad. It is sad what this world has come to anymore. And the mere fact that, you know, the censorship is so broad, and we have no way to fight back. You know, even though supposedly constitutionally we're supposed to be able to we have the right to you know.
Would you quit talking about the Constitution?
I know it doesn't exist.
Because every time the president signed that state of emergency, it null and voids our Constitution.
This is true too. It's self-deleted, but they wanted info on about kids in the household. Oh wow! I never received a any kind of thing like that, but that's kind of unnerving. to hear that. Why are they trying to pull that kind of information?
What?
I don't give that kind of information out over the phone anyway, so they wouldn't get that type of stuff.
What they at?
It wouldn't do them any good to call me. He said that they wanted to know how many children in the household had been vaxxed,
Had been what?
had their shots.
Oh.
That's funny, Brandy. FEMA faking emergency management agenda. Exactly, Sandra. Oh, wow. I hear ya. That's it. Oh my goodness. That's horrible. Amos found you, Carolyn. Uh-oh. Was he looking for you, sweetheart? Huh. That's crazy. That is insane. I wouldn't tell anyone anything though. They can call me and they can have all my information and they're not gonna get anything out of me, so.
Yeah, like the hospital call or
Yeah.
the hospital, and then they wanted to know your address.
Yeah.
And your information, they already have your information.
Yes, I saw that. They put a red flag on your door or whatever, and if you didn't have if you weren't vaccinated, you couldn't come out of your house until they got to you. They were going door to door to vaccinate. Yeah, I saw that. I did a story on that one, Amos. I had a article though, and that's one of those things you don't like hearing. That's for sure. No, it's not in mainstream media. It's been a couple of weeks, I want to say, or better. I want to say it was before Thanksgiving about that drop. Yeah, but I did. I read that article that I found. Yeah, etc. And they are too. And I know that in California they did pass that new legislative. It got passed to where it's mandatory. I do. I do. I try to find the good news anyway. I don't know that it's all good news, but I try to find those articles that aren't being talked about. I mean, it's sad, once upon a time you could turn on the TV to find out what was going on, that was important. But now all they want to do is bash Trump. And it's disgusting. Your sister never had all her shots. She couldn't find her medical reasons, but when they said that wasn't good enough, my mom switched it to a religious reason. I left her alone. I hear you. That's crazy. I know they do. And they're going to call here and ask you, do you live at this address? Well, is that the address that it said I lived at? And then they want to know your date of birth. Well, if you know if you have my information, you know my date of birth. I'm not giving that to you. They hang up. News is nothing but politics. Yeah, exactly. And it's not it, but sadly, drop even the news though that they're telling you that even relates to the politics. It's fake propaganda, and sometimes they don't even report all of the news about the politics. You'll find the stories out there, but they're not reporting them. They might write an article for the online or whatever, and it might get mentioned in wee hours of the morning, but it doesn't get mentioned anymore.
No prime time.
No prime time viewing whatsoever. We have to vaccinate because of all the illegals that have come in with diseases. Yeah, we do. Yes, indeed. Yep. And that's the sad thing though, is all of this stuff is coming because of all the illegals that are coming across the border. But yet people just want to have open borders, you know. They don't care the diseases that they're bringing in. And do you think that it's, with this up and coming election, do you really think it's by chance that New York City and other places are allowing illegals to get driver's license? Because they actually plan on adding more votes. You know? Ebola scares you. Oh, I'm sure. There's so many things. I mean, Ebola and the one that scared me the most, and I still cannot for the life of me understand how come they never did any kind of ban, is the one to China where they have the bubonic and the pneumonic plague. You know? That stuff is deadly. And it cost so many hundred thousands of people's of lives. And yet, you know, there was no ban put on it. Ooh, excuse me. I'm allergic to cigarette smoke and someone's outside smoking.
Yeah, I had the door open.
Well, quit it.
Shut up.
Anyway, sneezing. Thank you, guys. Yeah. I just really sensitive whenever somebody's outside smoking. But yeah, I heard that about the blue and the red dot as well. I haven't seen any dots on my mailbox, but I also was told it could be a marker on your light, your meter outside. Who had the shot? Oh, I hear you. And that is true too, Carolyn. Everything is scary for someone with compromised immune system. That's it. If you, thank you guys, bless me. My, like I said, it was just because somebody is outside smoking and I'm allergic to cigarette smoke. That's why I started sneezing so many times. I knew what the reason was. It was very evident. Sorry, guys. Anyway. For delivery days and for what purpose, yeah. Tons of it and maybe released during the Olympics. Oh my goodness sakes. Really, Sandra? I haven't heard that. The bubonic plague is still in the USA. It is in the groundhogs here in Northwest. Always has been. Wow. Well, I know that it's if I'm not mistaken, isn't that the one that's from fleas? But the pneumonic plague is the one that you really want to be leery of. Bubonic, from what my understanding, you can only get it from the flea, but the pneumonic is the one that is from person to person. The mailbox thing went down that hole. How many on water meters? You didn't find anything oh no, not on water meters, on your utility pole, I guess, you know, whatever you want to call it, utility pole, or your I say it's your light meter. I don't know, because not everybody has mailboxes. For people that have like apartments and stuff like that. And I had checked into it. That was a long time ago. I don't even know if you can find anything on that. I haven't checked into it in a very long time. But I went around, this is when we lived in Tennessee, so it's been a long time. But I went around checking for stickers, checking for everything anywhere, and I never found anything. So just saying. Well, I think you should have to have a birth certificate for voting. So I'm not against that. Because I just don't see where illegals should be allowed to vote in our elections. You know, I'm okay with if you're a legal immigrant voting, but I'm not okay with illegals voting. Just not. You super love your government, and I know they are only protecting me, and I'm not suicidal. That's it, Brandy. Yeah, exactly, Brandy. We all love our government. They are the best thing since sliced butter or sliced bread. And yeah, and they do a phenomenal job in protecting us. And yeah, no, I'm not suicidal either. Cows moo with the calf is more dangerous than people think. A cow moose is with a calf. Oh, most definitely, because she's going to protect them, babe. Visa nowadays just say for nationality American. Visa nowadays just say nationality American. Really? I did not know that. Everyone has a boss, even the ones in high offices. Well, not unless you own the company, and then you're the boss, but just saying. Oh, can you, Alina? I did not know that you could get it from farm animals. I thought it was that you only got the bubonic plague from fleas. Why don't say that, Drop? And apparently I can't have a flag in my videos without being harassed either these days. It wasn't approved now. A Democrat judge has blocked it. Don't you just... Oh, yeah. Most definitely, Brandy. It is just lovely. That's crazy that you can get it from both farm animals and fleas. I never heard that though, but that's good to know. I mean, I'll be staying away from some farm animals. Hey, MG, how are you, hon? I've already done the news. We're just chit-chatting. We've been chit-chatting for a good minute, too. We've already done the headlines. We've kind of covered just about a little bit of everything. We've talked about all kinds of interesting things. You got to eat all that. You got to eat all... Oh, you're eating a wild horse head? Oh, goodness sakes. I'm not eating no horses. I'm sorry. Mm-mm-mm. 1,200-pound moose. Those moose are massive. So are elk. A third is bone and water weight. Wow. That's it, Carolyn. Yeah, because we're not getting any wealthier over here. I mean, what the heck? Now, this is crazy stuff popping up all on its own, and I didn't hit nothing on my iPad. You know, someone who got the plague from knowing the animals on his mom's ranch. Oh, wow. From knowing the animals on his mom's ranch, or was in contact with the animals? Not knowing, I mean... And I agree with you 100%. Yeah, no horse for me either, Carolyn. Ugh,
Ain't nothing wrong with a horse.
I'm not eating no horse, Timothy.
Horse is good.
No, it's not.
It's sweet meat.
From very close contact. Wow.
We need to go to weapon.
Huh?
We need to go to weapon.
Oh, I got the drift, Alina. I am so sorry. Yo, Bob, it went over my head, but I caught it. That's crazy. My husband, yeah, I know, right?
Horse tastes better than bison.
Oh my gosh, I've eaten bison. I'm not eating a horse. He said horse tastes better than bison.
Would you ever eat it, Lindy, for that?
Tastes like
She works
chicken.
with these.
Tastes like chicken, he says.
No, it don't taste like chicken.
My husband says, no, it doesn't taste like chicken.
And frog legs don't taste like chicken either.
It's a moose. No, someone was talking about a horse, and I was just going, not you, Mark, but someone. Oh.
She wanted about something about the store.
Something about the store. They'll sell like 70,000 horses in Texas to Japan
Hey,
every
well,
year.
then don't go to China because they eat donkey over there in the wall. They sell donkey meat in the Walmarts over in China.
We don't have to go as far as China to get donkey meat. They do that in Mexico too.
No, but they don't sell it in the Walmart packaged as donkey meat.
We ain't having donkey. I'm not eating donkey. I'm not eating a horse. I'm not eating none of that. So you
Horse,
you
dog, dog is good too.
if you ate a dog, we getting divorced. 22 years and I'm divorcing you because I'm not kissing on no man that ate no dog.
He was good in that taco too down there in Mexico.
Oh my God, my husband just grossed me out, guys. Just absolutely positively grossed me out. I hear you,
The Native
Sandra.
Americans ate dog.
I don't care.
China races on the slaughter.
The cats in Taiwan.
That's just gross, guys. I'm getting sick over here.
What are you hollering about?
About ready to puke. Your hubby eats possum, squirrel, snake, and raccoon. Well, I know my husband's eaten a squirrel. I don't know if he's ever eaten a possum. He's eaten a snake, and I think he's eaten a raccoon.
I've eaten every wild animal there is.
I know he's eaten Nutri-Rat for sure. Have you eaten possum?
Yeah, possum's good. Raccoon's better.
Yeah, he's eaten all that stuff too, girl. That's just gross.
Bear is greasy.
That is gross, Drop.
What'd he say?
Cambodians at the,
Cambodia. Yeah,
they eat dog.
They eat dog. They eat cat. They eat rat.
This is just not your
And,
brother.
and in the country, we eat mountain oysters.
Bear burgers. I'm not eating no mountain oysters. I'm not eating no Now I like oysters, but not mountain oysters. Nope. Yeah, not doing it, guys. Beer burgers. I never heard anyone eating beer burgers.
A bear burger.
On the other hand, grasshopper tastes like one. There we go. Let's change this up. Thank you, Carolyn. Yeah,
Grasshoppers.
I think I would rather eat a grasshopper. And I'm not.
Yeah, you gotta take the legs off
So-
and it'll choke you like a chicken bone.
I'm not so keen about eating insects, but I think I would try grasshopper. I would try it. Ant, chocolate covered ants, I hear is good.
No, I'd
Eating
rather
rats.
have a dog than an insect.
No, eating Nutri-Rat. It's a delicacy down in Louisiana and in parts of Texas. They eat Nutri-Rat down there. It's not a rat, I guess, but
It's a rodent.
it's a rodent, but it's
But all
not.
they do is eat grass.
They just eat grass. I've had Rocky Mountain oysters, fresh and raw. Ooh,
Which-
that's
what-
gross,
what-
JR.
Now, what kind does he say? Sheep, goat?
Sheep or goat? JR, my husband wants to know. I hear you, MG. I know. I'm thinking I might want to move back to the ocean. just to be around all the fish, to forget all about all the mountain oysters and all this. I'm not eating them though. Just
Well,
saying.
because the cows are too big, you gotta slice them real thin and then fry them up like breakfast sausage.
Oh yeah, he did, didn't he, Alina? He sure did. I was in South Africa once and asked what meat it was, and they just said woof woof. Oh my goodness, you ate it. A dog too, Mark. Oh mercy. He said it was cow oysters.
Man, them are tough.
He said those are tough oysters.
Yeah, they eat them raw
Ugh.
because you gotta slice them real thin.
Y'all. Sorry, not me.
But fried squirrel brain mixed in some scrambled eggs is really good.
Yeah, I'm not eating escargot. You know that's what they were.
I'm not eating
She
no
was.
snail.
Yeah, I'm not eating a snail. I'm sorry. And sad thing is that they pay lots of money to eat snails because it's not just any kind of snail. But I'm not eating escargot. Oh my God, you love escargot? Oh no no no. Mom, did you like your escargot? Yes. And my mom liked it too. I'm not eating it. I'm not eating it. My mom can have all the escargot she wants. I don't do Fear Factor. Me neither. I want to stay away from that Fear Factor diet, Carolyn. I'm with you, girl.
Hey, you the one said you'd rather eat insects than dogs.
Off a calf cow. They were about the size of a shooter marble. Ugh. Cooked in garlic butter. That's pretty funny. Frog legs. Now, I like frog legs. It tastes like chicken. It's just a little sweeter, I think. But yeah, I like frog legs.
Alligator.
My husband probably would win Fear Factor. I'm sure. Although we've seen some pretty. I think the grossest thing he said he probably couldn't do was the one raw egg thingy that they had.
The bute egg.
Oh no! Of course, I didn't eat it. Oh, thank God, Mark.
Bute egg.
The boot egg, or what is blute? Yeah.
Yeah, which is a half duckling.
Yeah.
And then boiled.
Yeah, that one. He said he could. He said he would have tried, but he said he thinks he wouldn't have been able to. You won't eat a frog? Why won't you eat a frog? You eat mountain oysters, but you won't eat a frog? Really? JR? I'll eat a frog. Frog legs are good. Now they have to be.
A ton of crawfish.
And I'll eat alligator. Frogs are too cute. Frogs are not cute, JC. Where do you get they're cute?
Has he ever grabbed one of them big old bullfrogs? They ain't cute.
No eyeball, uterus, or boy parts. Exactly. Vegematized eggs.
Hey, we gotta go to the store.
Okay. Oh, mercy, guys. It has been fun.
Yeah, I agree. No boy parts for me either.
My hubby says no boy parts either.
Now,
Eat
animal
a frog
parts is
and kiss a
different story,
toad.
but no boy parts.
Oh my God. You catch and play them all the time. What are mountain oysters? Oh my gosh. They're
Animal gonads.
animal gonads. Okay? Yes. Chestnuts, my mom said. My mom, you are so crazy.
That's only you just sit on their chest.
My mom is funny. Okay, well, look here, guys. Had an albino African water frog as a pet. He was Fred. Oh my God. Well, I hear turtle soup is good, but we've
Yes, it is. Fried turtle is good.
But I'm not gonna eat turtle soup, and we've had pet turtles, and I've killed them, not on purpose, but but I would not. No, I didn't. I had to have it sun. If in question, look to them. That's right. We will look to the dietary restrictions in the Bible. I'm with you, Alina. Tough. Cow tongue? No, I haven't eaten cow tongue, and I don't want no cow tongue. Now I like cow liver, but I don't like.
The tongue, once you
The
take
tongue.
the skin off of it and cut it up, is pretty good. But you gotta skin it.
It is, Sandra. It is. Thank you, guys. Well, I'm gonna have.
You're making me hungry. We gotta get off.
My husband says we're making him hungry. I'm not hungry, but we have to run to the store, guys. So I'm gonna have to end the chat, but I'll be back probably around 5 if there's any more news that I need to report. If not, I will see everybody at 8 o'clock for sure, guys. It has been everyone's hacking over. I got all these green faces coming at me now. I don't blame y'all. Let me tell y'all.
Well, I hate to say, if something happens,
Eat
y'all
more
are gonna
mealworm.
starve.
Yes, I will starve. I probably will be as big as brown as a toothpick because I will not eat half of this stuff.
Yeah, but y'all are gonna starve.
We're not gonna eat no gross stuff. Yep, no, not at all.
Me and JR will live.
My husband says him and JR and him will live because y'all will eat the gross stuff. Hey, conservative patriot, we're just getting off here. You've missed a heck of a time. We've had headlines and we've had some convo to kill away this boredom day. But anyway, we got to run to the store. I love you guys, and I will be back. And we'll probably have some news at 5, just so we can chat just a little bit more before Bible study. It's been one of them days. Feel like a chat. Anyway, bye guys. I love y'all. Hit like, share, and subscribe. Bye. Thank y'all. God bless you.